with Fraser Minten's mom, Chantel. Fraser Minten's mom joined us to give us a little rundown of how kind of like a whirlwind this last week has been. It was a wonderful conversation. You can actually catch that on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. We have that up on our podcast as well. But a wonderful storyline to make it out of camp as a 19-year-old kid when not a lot of people had expectations. Like, I don't think I saw any expectations for Fraser Minten. It was Matthew Knies' show, and then Easton Cowan had his really nice moment. And I think Fraser Minten was kind of quietly earning his spot, and he clearly is. We see him out there on the ice right now, skating around at Scotiabank Arena, and there's a bit of a time crunch on Fraser Minten and the NHL because obviously there's the whole salary that he
burning an ELC if he plays 10
right.
games. Yeah.
So let's say, is he going to play 10 games or not?
I'm taking under 9.5 games. I don't think he gets to the 10 games. And it's no small thing, right? He is the third-line center for this team. He is playing a very important role right now for this team. But if he can't prove to be an NHLer who is definitely not being taken off the ice in third periods when the bench is being shortened, I think you need a little bit more utility in that spot. I don't know who replaces him, but I do think Fraser Minten will go back to Kamloops, will play for Canada at the World Juniors, will have an unbelievable year because he's already exceeded everybody's expectations. I just don't think he's going to spend the whole season in Toronto, and for that reason, they'd be wise to make sure it's under 9.5.
I mean, a 19-year-old in a full NHL season is really hard to come by, especially in this market, and we talked to Nick Kyprios yesterday on our show, and he made some great points about, like, he's not NHL body ready yet. Like, he's still a pretty small guy, and we compared him to Matthew Knies, who looks like an NHL player already. That would take a pretty big toll on a kid to play an entire season up with the NHL. And you know what? He's been here for a couple weeks. If he plays 9 games, 8 games, whatever, that is such a valuable experience to be up here to play with the big guys. He's living with John Tavares, which is such a sweet story. John Tavares is like bringing in all the youngins. I don't know what kind of house this guy's got. It's clearly got 6 or 7 extra bedrooms. He's making enough bank, but he's got Fraser Minten and Matthew Knies bunking with him at his house, which is, I know it's a little thing, but you're living with somebody that's been around this league, who is a veteran, who is a leader, who can give you the ins and outs of what it's like to prep your body, to eat healthy, to just be in the right mental state to play an NHL game. If he plays 8 of them and then goes to play for Kamloops, he's going to have an incredible year. Those are tiny little lessons you learn. He instills them in his work ethic. He comes back next year, tries out for this team, and he makes it again. The World Juniors is a really good point. That is something that is so, we have so much pride for that opportunity to play for your country. And, I mean, that's something you get an opportunity to do. You want to do it. So there's a lot in his bright future. I don't think you waste it. That opportunity to play for your country. And, I mean, that's something you get an opportunity to do. You want to do it. So there's a lot in his bright future. I don't think you waste it this year at the Maple Leafs.
You say Tavares is being the good teammate. I think Matthew Knies is being the good teammate because Matthew Knies ain't going anywhere. He should be getting a condo downtown ASAP. But
he's
as long
too
as
young for a condo.
Oh, he's not going to live with John Tavares the whole year, and he's playing here the whole year for sure. Matthew Knies is just, hey, I'll come move in with you for a couple weeks while you're still here.
That's good.
And then we'll
good kid
then
right
we'll
there.
make plans.
He's 20
Matthew
years
Knies
old.
is being the good teammate.
Actually, he's turning 21 in a couple days. Just pulled up his birthday, October 17th. So early birthday. Happy birthday to Matthew Knies in a couple days. I don't know. 21-year-olds living on King West is trouble, Justin. It could be trouble.
It could be trouble. No, Matthew Knies is not that guy.
No, Matthew Knies in a couple days. I don't know. 21-year-olds living on King West is trouble, Justin. It could be trouble.
It could be trouble. No, Matthew Knies is not that guy. Matthew Knies
he's
will
a good
be
kid.
fun.
He's a good kid. So we both got the under for Fraser Minten games. All right, this is kind of then this next one is interesting because we talk about Fraser Minten now holding down that third line spot and the center role. So that has helped William Nylander move to the wing. Now, if there's no Fraser Minten, how do the Maple Leafs compensate for losing someone who's actually holding a pretty valuable spot right now? Does that mean William Nylander's center experiment continues on? And if so, how long of a season are we giving William Nylander at center? Is it 37.5 games is what I just randomly tossed in there? But I think it's an interesting sample size because we know Sheldon Keefe likes to do some configuring and some moving, and the Maple Leafs don't really have the best fit right now for a third-line center. Do they acquire one, or does somebody get promoted within?
Yeah, I think 37.5 games makes sense for a barometer because...
Wow, I just, picked that out of nowhere.
But, it might... Okay, so that's almost half the season, but it would take a couple halves away from the time Minten spends year, as we might expect. So I think it's about half the season, just a little bit less. I do think he's going to fall short of that because I think they're going to add a center, whether it's impact or not. There's going to be another center added to this team, I suspect, unless it's Fraser Minten, which means there might be a couple months where they have another guy playing center and William Nylander won't have to. These 9 games, I don't think he's going to be in that role. So I will say William Nylander does spend some time at center. I think he will fall short of that 37.5, where it might be a couple months, but then they realize, I don't know if this is working to the best of its ability. I don't know if this is an optimized roster, and eventually Nylander will go back to the wing.
You know what's something that we talked a lot about before the season that we haven't talked about yet was how much does William Nylander want to play center? Is that going to add to his contract negotiations? Does it show him off as a guy that can do everything, can really put him in the financial tax bracket of being a two-way center that plays multiple positions, that can play wing and play center, can make over $10 million? But we haven't really talked about that since, and I wonder if you still think that that's not that William Nylander has going to go into Sheldon Keefe's office and say, I must play center, but I wonder if that matters at all to him anymore, or he just wants to have a killer season.
I think there might be something of a hard ceiling on just like a weapon, a winger that is a weapon, and I think William Nylander is, if nothing else, a weapon. Like, he is a goal-scoring threat. He's not a guy that plays a dominant two-way, and there's parts of his defensive game that are to be left to be desired. But if he suddenly transitioned into someone who was the backbone of your team or part of the backbone of your team, a second-line center maybe in place of John Tavares, and you're still putting up those numbers plus logging heavy minutes against elite competition, well, then I think you can put yourself in a different tax bracket.
Like, is it the Timo Meier tax bracket?
It could be.
Who did we use as a
Meyer took a discount, though, so he might not be the best guy to actually...
He's probably like, don't say that name with my name.
That's the problem. If you're a jaded Leaf fan, everybody around the league is taking haircuts to stay where they are and signing 8-year deals. But I think there's no harm in him trying and failing, because the default on Nylander is just one of the best offensive weapons in the game, and the best offensive weapons in the game get paid a hell of a lot of money, and that's what William Nylander is going to get, whether it's here or elsewhere. But he could redefine himself in a good way if he took on the center ice position and was just as dominant as he is now.
Okay, we got about 10 minutes here before we take a break and send it to Puck Drop on the other side. So let's get through a couple more here. This is a big one, and this is like, I feel, bare minimum for the Maple Leafs this year, which is to win the Atlantic. I mean, it's been a goal that they have not achieved. And this year, the Atlantic is not as dangerous. I mean, preseason prediction-wise, not as dangerous. It's hard to try to count out teams like the Lightning and the Bruins, but over under 0.5 Atlantic Division banners being hung in this arena.
Over. It's time.
It's got to be time.
They've won a North Division. They haven't won
it's a North Division,
a division
Justin.
that wasn't, makeshift in quite some time. It's time to reverse that. It's time to readjust expectations and motivations throughout a regular season. Get yourself in a position where you don't have to grind with a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning in round one. You put yourself in an advantageous position. You get that by winning the Atlantic Division. I think it's the best team in the Atlantic Division, and I think something would have to go, not wrong, but I think something would have to fall short of expectations pretty significantly for them not to at least be right there at the end in the race for the Atlantic.
Okay, let's stick with awards. I mean, that's not really an award. That's a title, and it's bare minimum. But I thought this was an interesting one. If you're thinking about the Vegas Awards at the end of this season, hopefully in the Sphere, because I'm obsessed with the Sphere.
Sphere's good.
I need to see the Sphere up
Sphere's real
close,
good.
so send me there. I'll do the broadcast from the Sphere. I don't care. Over, under 3.5 awards given to the Toronto Maple Leafs and their players/organization.
That is a lot.
Okay, but
the over... So this is, you're getting the awards, not the nominations.
You're getting the awards.
So the President's Trophy would be an option. Stanley Cup, Hart Trophy, Rocket Richard, Jim Gregory, if we want to get Brad Treliving involved.
I'm telling you, Jim Gregory is
Jack
now Mr.
Adams.
Brad Treliving.
Now, I've only mentioned about 6.
King Clancy,
they're going to win 4
the
of
Selke,
those.
the Hart.
No, they got a Selke nominee.
Nobody's getting the Norris on this team.
No, probably not. I mean, I think it falls pretty well short of the
Ted
under.
Lindsay.
But
Does Connor McDavid move off of the Ted Lindsay and somebody else gets that one?
Again, it would have to be Austin Matthews of 2 years ago and he bagged 2 awards then, right? Like, he got himself
3.5
he got 3 awards himself that year.
So 3.5 isn't an outrageous number, Justin.
So essentially what you need is they need to either be historically good and win the Stanley Cup, or Austin Matthews has a season that no one else in the NHL.
You just numbered, Justin.
So essentially what you need is they need to either be historically good and win the Stanley Cup, or Austin Matthews has a season that no one else in the NHL
You didn't
can
think
match.
about the people making decisions. Brad Trey Living, Sheldon Keefe could grab two trophy cases himself.
Okay, I'm just thinking of like how they get there.
What if they just swept the NHL awards?
I just don't think that's going to happen. But this is the easiest route to it.
Okay,
They
make
win
it
the
happen.
President's Trophy, so there's one. Sheldon Keefe gets acknowledged for that. Jack Adams too.
There's two awards.
They got to win the Stanley Cup, and then maybe there's one award winner because he had such an amazing season. Whether it's Marner winning a Selke, Austin Matthews winning a Rocket Richard, it is possible.
He's already leading the Rocket Richard almost.
It has to be the greatest season probably in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs to do it. So I will take the under.
But you're saying there's a chance. Richard almost.
It has to be the greatest season probably in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs to do it. So I will take the under.
But you're saying there's a chance, and I love that. I think it'll be fun. Here's one that's related. Calder nomination. So Matthew Knies obviously is still eligible, like Michael Bunting the other year, which
this is nothing like
I'm
Michael
just
Bunting.
kidding, but that makes me laugh when Michael Bunting went to the NHL Awards and was nominated as like a 28-year-old.
Not a great year for rookies.
Anyway, this year will be a great year for the Calder, but just getting one nomination I certainly think he could get one nomination.
For the Calder?
For the Calder.
One vote or be nominated?
Oh, well, you wrote this one down.
I think so
one of the top three.
Is he going to be nominated? Is he going to go to the Sphere to see you broadcasting live?
I think he's in the Sphere.
I say under.
Come on, Justin.
I don't think
live
he gets,
a little, bud.
Bedard's going.
Okay.
Logan Cooley's going.
Luke
Hughes has probably got a good chance.
There's too many good ones. Adam Fantilli.
He's got to beat out two of those guys at least. I don't think it's happening.
Devin Levi and the Sabres.
If he gets bumped up to Matthews' line soon, and the Fraser Minten experiment ends, and he plays 70 games with Austin Matthews,
different story.
He might be able to bunting this thing. But I think the rookie class is too good for him to be there.
And then it's a fair point. When I wrote this down, I didn't know if you wrote awards, nominations, or just like votes. That's a different story.
He'll get some down ballot.
He'll get some votes.
He'll get a down ballot.
Okay, I thought this was about votes. I didn't think about being there, but it's funny Shane Wright's still on that. Like, you kind of like, what happened to Shane Wright, eh?
Maybe he'll be around in a few years, a la Michael Bunting.
He could Michael Bunting this
year. He plays for 8 different teams this year, like he did last year.
Possibly could Michael Bunting it. Okay, let's get to a couple more here before we take a break. Over under 5.5 fights for Ryan Reaves. That's an easy over, I think. But he hasn't notoriously racked up like so many. Like when I went on his hockey fights page, I think like 6 and 7 were max. But this is a different year for him. This is time to make my mark in this city.
Yeah, I mean, if 6 or 7 max is the standard, I don't know if he's going to play in 82 games. There probably won't be reason for him to do that. However, he already has 1. He's promised that he'll fight Arbor Xhekaj again, so that's 2. Patrick Maroon is playing for the Wild now. That could be 3 by the end of tonight. I do think Ryan Reaves will get there, partly because this is a brand-building opportunity for Ryan Reaves in addition to everything else. Like, he gets to prolong his NHL career, play for a contender. These are all great things. But he's also in the center of the hockey world, and he gets a mic in front of him pretty much every day. I think more Reaves is beneficial to Ryan Reaves, and more Reaves does include a fighting Ryan Reaves. So I do think he will get more than 5.5.
So I'm looking at his hockeyfights.com right now. Last year he had 7 fights. The year before that, 3, 3, 3, 1, 3, 7. So depends on the year. He was spicy last year. One of those maybe prove it, get another deal type thing here. But he's got 7 fights last year. He's already got 1 on there. So
he also fought Marcus Foligno last year, who's also on the Wild. So 2 candidates on the ice tonight.
So he might fight tonight. Okay, so we're going on the over for that. How about power play points for John Klingberg? Because we are going to talk about him a little later before we throw it to puck drop with our guys here, Jim and Joe. But I think power play, John Klingberg could be something that we weaponize here in Toronto and see the value of him as this offensive threat, because if it's going to be anywhere, it's on the power play. So 30 points possibly.
And he's never been, he's been close to 30 points, but he has not exceeded 30 points ever in his career. I just think this is an unbelievable opportunity for him. If you're a fantasy hockey player, I mean, Ryan Reaves, John Klingberg might be the number one. Not the number one, but very, very close to it. Maybe number one in terms of value, in terms of power play points by a defenseman. I think he's going to have endless opportunities to put up points. I think it's going to be one of the best power plays in the league, and you already saw a taste of it. I think he's going to have a career year, at least offensively, as long as he sticks on that power play.
Yeah, 30 is a lot. We looked at his stats before then, and they weren't close, but I think this is the year, and this is the team to do it with, right? Like his previous line mates or power play mates were not Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
William Nylander. Jonathan
like the names that you're on the ice with, I could probably get 30 points. I'm just kidding.
Get 10.
I could probably, one could
double digit, over
one
under
could
9.5.
hit off my thigh and I would get a point, okay? So this is John Klingberg's chance to really rack up some power play points, and I think he's going to want to do it because it's a prove-it year for John Klingberg, too, and that always adds a little bit of an emphasis for us. All right, that was fun. I think we pretty much agreed.
We got just over a minute. We got one more quick one. We'd be very short with it. Over, under 1 point rounds in the playoffs, one.
Over. They're going 2+, baby. No? Yes?
Yeah. I mean, my preseason prediction, they get to.
Well, we just said they're going to win the cup and sweep the awards. So.
I guess you don't get an award for going to the third round. I think they're going to the third round this year. They win 2 this season. All
right, I love that. That was fun. We got some early predictions here. Good thing is this is radio. It's not taped anywhere. You can't hold us accountable when we're maybe wrong in a couple months.
Armin is taping it.
Yeah,
so
our producers got the record button on there, so we will be held accountable for it. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break because we've got another few minutes after the record button on there, so we will be held accountable for it. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break because we've got another few minutes after to set up the night's game. We got the Minnesota Wild in town against the Maple Leafs. Still a few things to come before we send it over for puck drop. Let's take a quick break, and on the other side, Molson Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590 Fan, the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Justin Cuthbert and Ailish Forford will come back, get you teed up for what is going to be a great hockey night in Canada here at Scotiabank Arena.
NHLshop.ca, the official online store of the National Hockey League. And Canada's largest selection of officially licensed NHL fan gear. With unique one-of-a-kind designs by Fanatics, Adidas, and all the latest styles for every NHL team. Don't miss out. Shop now and get today's special offer. NHLshop.ca, a Fanatics experience.
Ontario has never invested more in student success. We're hiring thousands of new educators to work alongside some of the best paid teachers. Never invested more in student success. We're hiring thousands of new educators to work alongside some of the best paid teachers in Canada, right here in Ontario. We're investing in new reading and math supports and spending billions to upgrade and build state-of-the-art schools. Students are back in classrooms with their friends where they belong, so they learn the skills they need now for the jobs of the future. Learn more at ontario.ca/investing in students. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Hi, it's Catherine from Great Canadian Meat. Here's something to chew on. Great Canadian Meat's original beef jerky. It is really great. Locally handcrafted, 100% Canadian. It's the portable protein energy you can take anywhere. And it comes in 5 mouth-watering flavors: teriyaki, barbecue, Kentucky bourbon, sweet heat, and if you like it hot and spicy, hot and spicy. Power up and eat some energy. Shop Great Canadian Meat at greatcanadianmeat.com.
What's behind a life electrified? What's lighting up our communities? Powering more carbon-free commutes? And boosting homegrown innovations? It's electricity generated right here at home. From renewable hydro to nuclear, our lowest carbon energy source. Ontario Power Generation is shaping the clean energy future by investing in Ontario and electrifying life every day. See how at opg.com.
As Taylor Swift's Eras Tour conquers the silver screen, relive the best night of your summer. Or soothe your FOMO with stripped-down sounds from Taylor and her hand-picked openers.
It's me. Hi.
Including Phoebe Bridgers, Gracie Abrams, Biba Doobie, and more. Acoustic Eras Tour energy all week in the SiriusXM Coffee House, Channel 6, and the SiriusXM app.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Kerr. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in 93. So, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen, walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to SiriusXM FC 157.
This is Molson Leafs Hockey.
We're about to bring the world right now. Sound the alarm.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network. There's a Molson with your name on it.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan of the Maple Leafs Radio Network. It's Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert here as the Maple Leafs are about to kick off tonight's hockey night in Canada against the Minnesota Wild. We are in for a wild night, I think, at Scotiabank Arena. What do you think?
I don't know. The Minnesota Wild are not necessarily, they don't go by their name. They're not the wildest team by any stretch of the imagination. It is a different task, in fact, for the Maple Leafs, who, of course, combined for 11 goals, I guess 10 plus the shootout winner, versus the Montreal Canadiens on opening night. But the Wild are a little bit different. The Wild are a defensively responsible team.
Well, that's no fun.
The Wild have defensive structure, but it's on the Maple Leafs. A little bit different. The Wild are a defensively responsible team.
Well, that's no fun.
The Wild have defensive structure, but it's on the Maple Leafs to try and break through that structure. But I will say maybe it's not in place just yet because the Wild gave up 41 shots in their season opening victory over the Florida Panthers. 41 saves Philip Gustafson made in their season opening win. So maybe they are gettable right now, or they're at least a little easier to pile up shots on.
All right, so night one for the Maple Leafs, we saw a hat trick by Austin Matthews kicking off his hopeful big career year, bouncing back from 40
Oh, you
goals.
want to do better than 60?
Yeah, he could try. We saw Ilya Samsonov, who kind of struggled a little bit in contrast to what you're talking about with the Minnesota Wild netminder. Samsonov's an interesting point side. He will get the net against Gustafson. And that's what you're talking about with the Minnesota Minnesota Wild netminder. Samsonov's an interesting point side. He will get the net against Gustafsson. And if the Maple Leafs can come out with that offensive firepower and hopefully capitalize on a defensive lacking opportunity for the Minnesota Wild, maybe you see a couple more goals for the Maple Leafs tonight. But a tale of two different teams who are both 1-0 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they won their games, as I kind of mentioned, in far different ways. The Maple Leafs overcame a shaky Samsonov, while the Wild depended unbelievably a lot on Philip Gustafsson to be elite, which he was, making 41 saves in the victory. But you're right, to identify Samsonov, because if you're a Leaf fan and you're kind of gauging the strengths and weaknesses of this team and what you might be worth making 41 saves in the victory. But you're right, to identify Samsonov, because if you're a Leaf fan and you're kind of gauging the strengths and weaknesses of this team and what you might be worried about and what you might need to add during the season, I'm not sure you can add a goaltender, but I'm also not sure you can rely on Ilya Samsonov to be the guy who's going to get you not just one playoff series victory, but two, maybe three, and of course the Stanley Cup is the ultimate goal. Ilya Samsonov in the last three little segments, one being, well, game one, night one, the preseason being two, and then last year's playoffs, there were some times where he was great, there were some times where he was shaky. Ilya Samsonov still has a lot to prove, and erasing the memory of night one, even though it was a good night here at Scotiabank Arena, he has a lot better and needs to be better in order to stave off the likes of Joe Woll and maybe even Martin Jones.
All right, word on the street up here in Scotiabank Arena in the press area is that we may be hearing a different goal song tonight. So, I mean, that's on your things to watch tonight and things to listen to. Another new goal song, possibly. We're hearing rumblings and mumblings.
The saga continues. We're seeing some tweets. We heard some music being tried out when we were here preparing for the show about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. I don't know why that would be. I know we were convinced that we would, or we were told, rather, that we'd hear maybe 4 or 5 Gen nights. We'd hear something, maybe old school Throwback Thursday. We'd hear a different goal song. There's some rumblings. We're going to hear a different goal song tonight on none of those nights. So we'll see what happens. Pursuit of Happiness maybe didn't strike all the notes like we imagined it might have.
All right. A couple familiar faces now in the blue and white. Ryan Reaves and John Klingberg now finished the season with the Wild last year, but are now skating for your Maple Leafs tonight. Ryan Reaves is a big one to watch tonight because he had a great quote today in the scrum. Quote, sometimes when you're better friends with them, you want to lay them out a little more. Unfortunately for them, I became pretty good friends with all of them. So if you're betting a Ryan Reaves rock'em sock'em type night tonight, you might see it. Yeah,
and maybe he will be the one who initiates, unlike on opening night where he was kind of jumped, as he mentioned, which he didn't like either by Arbor Jack guy.
Well, he's like, if you want to fight me, just ask. And I kind of respect that.
And I mean, it seems like everything just works in Ryan Reaves' favor because he's an unbelievable quote. As much as this is, as we talked about in the previous hour, an unbelievable opportunity for him to continue his career, to play for a contender, to be an important part of a team that has, you know, some issues that they've been dealing with the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's also a brand opportunity. Every time he's in front of the mic, he can become a little bit more in your household, if that makes any sense. Ryan Reaves in Toronto is a unbelievable branding opportunity, and it seems like he's dead set on taking advantage of every time he's in front of the mic.
All right, we also mentioned John Klingberg, who is one of our players to watch tonight. So let's take a look at that. The player to watch presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only, play responsibly. And the reason we circled John Klingberg, not only because he was a Wild, but because he is going to be an offensive threat, we hear, for the Maple Leafs. And we've pinpointed a specific prop that we like tonight.
Yeah, I love this prop. No adjustment maybe after night one when the power play looked pretty lethal, and John Klingberg put one on a tee for William Nylander to record a power play point tonight. John Klingberg plus 225. If he is the power play quarterback, and the Maple Leafs power play is going to consist of a core four plus a quarterback, I think he's going to be in an unbelievable position to pile up power play points. I think that can continue tonight, or continue based on the first time out when he did record a power play point. I think he does it again, and plus 225 is a good price.
He's got such great poise on the point, and like, Well, sometimes you can feel the uneasiness at the point when someone's got the puck. Like, I don't think Morgan Rielly has that, but we saw with Timothy Liljegren that first game, that exhibition game we had, and he was on PP2, and I think everybody was gripping their sticks a little tight when Timothy Liljegren had the puck up there. But it's so different with John Klingberg. He sees the ice like almost as a forward, very offensively. I mean, sometimes defensively you need to tune that in a little bit, but if you're on the power play, it is time to really lean into that. He walks the line with poise. He looks for opportunities to shoot, which sometimes, like, power plays nowadays are not just shot heavy from the point, but that's kind of his style. I'd like to see a little bit more of a mixing in for, like, the backdoor passes or shooting off the boards for a rebound, but Klingberg up on the point, he has that level of poise and that confidence up there, because that's in for, like, the backdoor passes or shooting off the boards for a rebound. But Klingberg up on the point, he has that level of poise and that confidence up there, because that's kind of what he's known best for. So I think if you're looking for a power play point opportunity, Klingberg's a really great bet.
Yeah, I mean, forget Reaves in terms of opportunity. What an opportunity for John Klingberg after the last couple of years where it didn't go according to plan. Miro Heiskanen kind of pinched him out of Dallas. He goes to Anaheim to try to up his value. It's a disaster in Anaheim. He goes to Minnesota. It's not much better there. If John Klingberg plays 82 games on a power play unit with the Toronto Maple Leafs, he might be able to secure the bag like he thought he was going to. So I do agree. I mean, I think he's better than Morgan Rielly in terms of that position. He's better at walking the line. His shot is better than Morgan Rielly's. That's why I think even a top 5 power play like the Leafs had last year can be even better this year. Maybe not Oiler good, but can be better this year with John Klingberg running point.
Okay, so let's take a look at the lines. We just got handed a hot sheet of paper, which is Tyler Bertuzzi, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner up on the top line there. Max Domi, John Tavares, William Nylander. That third line, a lot of intrigue with the two youngins, Matthew Knies, Fraser Minten, and Calle Jarnkrok. And your fourth line, Noah Gregor, David Kampf, and Ryan Reaves. No surprises there?
No, but let's just hover on that third line for a second, because Matthew Knies and Fraser Minten didn't get as much ice time in the third period in the victory over Montreal. They went down to 3 lines, and it came at the expense predominantly of Fraser Minten. Fraser Minten's on game 2 of a 9-10 game trial, perhaps, as he tries to make this NHL team for the second time. Of course, he did it out of camp. I'm always going to be watching Minten and Knies and see if they can really establish themselves as a plus middle 6 group.
Your deep pairings, Morgan Rielly and TJ Brody, Jake McCabe and John Klingberg, and Mark Giordano and Timothy Liljegren. Mark Giordano, who leaps into fights now, hurtling over bodies. Even though he's 40 years old, he's still got hops.
40-year-old, and he's going to be tested here, right? I don't know who the next man up is. Simone Benoit, I believe, did take warm-up. We were watching. But right now, Mark Giordano looks like he's not going to have that insulation of a 7th defenseman like Connor Timmins that you might really, really trust. Mark Giordano's 40 years old, and he might be playing more games than a 40-year-old should, but we'll see how he looks against the Minnesota Wild tonight.
All right, and then confirmed your starter in net is Ilya Samsonov, who had a great home record last year. So looking to keep that going tonight in Game 2 for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, he can match Jack Campbell for the most wins on home ice in the first 25 games as a Toronto Maple Leaf. And as much as I was just like, hey, we're not sure about Ilya Samsonov yet, winning 20 of 25 to start your career at Scotiabank Arena is pretty good.
Pretty undeniable there. All right, Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph will have the call of the first period after the break. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
In a season already plagued with injuries and underachievers, your fantasy football team is faced with yet another obstacle.
The bye weeks are here! The bye weeks are here!
When your star player takes a week off, listen to Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio for winning fantasy football advice.
You got to work the waiver wire. You got to make trades. The draft is just a piece of the puzzle.
Our experts tell you who to play in this time of need.
Now the work really starts.
Your frontline source for fantasy football. Sirius XM Channel 87 and on the SXM app.
In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Under review. It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. He had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now. You know, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in 93. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to Sirius XM FC 157.
Radio Network.
Our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and free, from far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Game 2 of 82, the Leafs and the Minnesota Wild colliding here this evening as the Leafs coming off an exciting, if not artistic, 6-5 overtime victory in a shootout against the Montreal Canadiens. So lots to be happy about as far as that win. Lots of offense. Big boys come out firing. And a lot of things that need to be tidied up.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? And this absolutely amazes me that the result of a shootout, which is a skills competition, skews your whole perception of the previous 65 minutes. Right? If they lose in the shootout, we're talking about the giveaways and the fact that they gifted Montreal some great opportunities. Because they win, we're talking about the great comeback. And that was thanks to Mitch Marner in the shootout, but certainly the positives, Austin Matthews scoring twice with a goalie on the bench, those are things that you can build off early in the season that can go right through into April.
First face-off ended up going over the glass. They'll drop the puck now, and we're underway here with the Leafs to the right and the Wild to the left. And the Wild come in after a shutout victory behind Philip Gustafsson, who is in goal.
Another whistle. That's 2 and 12 seconds. You know what the record is?
I think this is it.
Could you? It ties the record.
Ties the modern day record.
Well, we shouldn't joke because somebody's got that somewhere.
No, but before it was the bell. Remember the referee had a bell when they didn't have a whistle. So that, in the modern era, I believe that's the record.
Didn't have glass then either.
No. Here's Bertuzzi. Getting it in over the line. Marner slips it around into the near corner. Matthews arrives on the scene, trying to elude the checking against the boards. Still has it. Plays it into the far corner. Pinching down is Brody. Back now for Bertuzzi to the point to Marner. A shot was blocked. And 3 of the Wild break the center ice. And it is broken up there nicely by Marner, who was the last man back. Morgan Riley chipping the puck out at center. Bertuzzi just failed to reach it. The Wild will play it back into their own zone. Maroon chipping it down into the Toronto. Maroon chipping it down into the Toronto zone. McCabe getting it around the boards to the far side. Didn't reach Domi. It comes back to the point. Goligoski with a shot. Deflected just wide of the Leaf goal. Puck comes out in front and Nylander is out. Nylander to center. A little flip pass in over the line for Tavares back to Willie. His weak backhand went well wide of the net. Domi keeps the puck in at the blue line. Left wing side, McCabe fanned on the shot. Played it back to the net for Nylander, though. Now to Tavares, centering in front. Domi took a whack at it, but Gustafsson was there to cover up on it. And hold for a face-off. He has not been beaten in this early season. And on the other end, a .792 save percentage is what Ilya Samsonov is trying to improve upon.
That's the worst thing for the goaltender. You have a bad first night, and then you feel like it takes 3 or 4 games to get the numbers back to being respectable. Philip Gustafsson, by the way, shut out the Florida Panthers 2-0. And talking to Tom Reid, the former Minnesota North Star and longtime broadcaster with the Minnesota Wild, he said they were very fortunate to pick up the 2 points.
That the goalie was the difference. Knies for the Maple Leafs back of the goal. Being chased by Goligoski. A wrap around in front. Knies gets a rebound. They jam away at it. And the puck remains out. But a big-time collision as Knies took it to the hoop.
And Fraser Minten right at the top of the crease of the blue paint looking for the loose puck as well. But you lack that from Knies. Comes out on the backhand. From just over the right shoulder of Gustafsson. Sees he's got a lane to the net, throws it there, and then gets his own rebound. And Gustafsson stops them both. The Leafs 3 shots on goal already in the early going.
Wild get it up on the wing. Frederick Goodrow unable to get it out cleanly, and now here is Rossi taking it back into his own zone. Addison will play it out at center, but there is Yarncrook for the Maple Leafs to shoot it right back in again. Wild behind their own goal. Got it up on the wing to center. Brought to the line now by Rossi, who plays down into the zone. Some of the Wild heading to the bench to get a change of players going as Brody gets it up on the left wing for Knies. Knies sends an alley-oop, and on the fresh ice, that's an easy icing. And so a face-off coming back in the Toronto zone, and Fraser Minten will be responsible for trying to win a defensive zone face-off to get his team an opportunity to change.
The only addition to the Minnesota Wild in the offseason was Patrick Maroon. He's bounced around most recently, of course. Leaf fans had known for the playoff series with Tampa.
Ross scrummed in the face-off circle, controlled then by Duhaime, who gets it around back of the net. Knies trying to free it up, couldn't. Puck still free now for the Wild as they work it down into the corner. Dewar knocked down on the play. Morgan Riley hammered to the wall there by Duhaime, and it comes around to the far side for Brody. Leafs can't get it out. When they do, they have iced the puck again.
Wow, this is going to be a long shift for the Leafs' third line. By the way, and if you're wondering, as we said, Patrick Maroon was really the only ad that the Minnesota Wild had in the offseason. If you're wondering why they may not have gone after a bigger free agent, $14.7 million going to two players that no longer play for the Minnesota Wild, Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. And that's going to stay on the books until the end of next year.
That does handcuff you a little bit, doesn't it? Back to the blue line, kept alive there by the Wild. Into the corner it goes from Zuccarello. Now back to the point once more, and it's knocked out at center ice. And the Leafs are going to get it down into the zone, and Minten is able to go to the bench for a change. Wild back in their own zone, got it ahead. Zuccarello launches it into the Toronto end. Overskating it was David Kampf. It comes back to the point. Near side now for Brock Faber. A shot right on, swallowed up then and held by Samsonov. Face-off coming in the Toronto end.
John Klingberg was asked about who impressed him with the Minnesota Wild during his stint with Minnesota last year. Brock Faber was one of them. He said, a talented young defenseman. And the other that's got great praise for both Ryan Reaves and Klingberg was young Matt Boldy. He had a 30-goal season last year and actually had a pretty good start to the NHL. With 15 goals in 47 games as a rookie 2 years ago.
Klingberg gets the puck ahead for Kampf. He tried to knock it in over the line. It comes in front of the net, out of the reach of Reaves. And it'll be pushed out at center ice now by Minnesota as it's cleared right back in again. Kampf down the boards into the corner. Reaves trying to dig it free for Gregor, who got a shot away. Kampf was right on the doorstep but couldn't redirect it. And Eriksson Ek will get it out at center ice. Cross the line now for Boldy. Boldy to the left wing side for Faber. He goes wide. Now tries to come in front of the goal. Big pad save made by Samsonov. Two occasions that left pad had to be anchored as the Wild got a couple of whacks at it. Eriksson Ek got the last one, but boy, Faber just came right out in front of the goal.
And way too much time and space for Faber. Takes off, right-handed shot, takes off down to the left wing boards. Gets to the goal line and then cuts right to the front of the Leaf net. And this is not great coverage from a Toronto standpoint. And Ilya Samsonov, who had a tough opening night, makes not one but two great saves with his left pad.
Shot blocked, grabbed off again by the Wild, dropped it to the point. A shot deflected off the stick of Rossi going wide. Leafs get it to the blue line, but not out. Kept in with a backhand, trying to find Foligno in front of the goal, but the Wild don't connect. The Leafs do get the puck out at center. Bertuzzi, left wing side, tried to knock it in a little deeper, but Matthews couldn't reach it. The Wild with it, then Matthews steals. In front, Bertuzzi, big save, the rebound! And Marner fell as he tried to make the shot, and it's going to be a penalty now to Toronto.
Bertuzzi on the trip. But Mitch Marner had a great chance, but couldn't keep his balance to be able to whack the bouncing puck into the net. And seconds later, the Minnesota Wild will go on their first power play.
Furman South and Dan O'Rourke are the referees. Andrew Smith and Devin Berg are the linesmen here tonight.
It's amazing, even going back through preseason, how many penalties we've seen taken in the offensive zone. I mean, even in the Montreal game, we saw a ton.
Penalty comes at 4:49. And the draw in the Toronto zone is won by the Wild. And a shot from the point deflects wide of the goal, along the near boards. Leafs jam at it. It bounces in on goal, and a quick glove from Samsonov is able to cover it up. First period is presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Play responsibly.
By the way, I mentioned that $14.7 million for Suter and Parise not to play for Minnesota. I'm not trying to brag, but I think if there was any player worth that not to play, it was me.
No, exactly.
Maybe double.
Oh, at least. At least. But see, the difficulty there is that you would at some time have had to play.
Well, I did.
No, I meant
you did.
No, I didn't. No, I know that. Can you imagine what they'd want me not to play, how much they pay me? But I'm just saying that, you would have to prove to them that you were worth that much.
Well, if they're dumb enough to drop me and sign me, I think they're on the hook for it.
Addison to the left wing side, a pass into the slot. Now a right wing drive. Good block by Giordano off the stick of Boldy. Power play here, fanning on it was Addison, who regains possession. On the near side now for Kaprizov. To the left wing side, back into the slot, a shot, and Samsonov has come up with about 4 real good saves here in the first period. Add that one to the list.
That was one of the things that I thought was impressive about Samsonov last year. Was very seldom did he have back-to-back off nights. I think it was safe to say that it was a bit of a struggle against Montreal, but would you not admit that it was a tough game for a goaltender? Everything coming out of a screen and redirections. It wasn't a clean game.
Fanning on the shot was Kaprizov. Knocked down in the corner. The Leafs are able to get it out and around the boards and down the ice. And the Leafs are lucky they didn't get another penalty there, as McCabe took his man down in the corner. Now in over the line comes the power play. Trying to center in front. The backhand shot by Addison was blocked. The Leafs are going to get it to the line, but they don't get it out. McCabe wasn't able to make the pass. Now a centering feed gets out of the reach of its intended receiver, and now Marner is coming back through center ice. He's around the defense. He's in a goal! And a big glove save by Gustafsson.
What a sick play by Marner. Guys closing in on me on the rush. I just got to dump it into open ice and go get it.
Penalty has got 9 seconds left in it, and it's shot down the ice by Toronto. What a great save, though.
Yes, I was trying to do exactly what he did when he scored in the shootout a couple of nights ago. Just come in and just snap it high glove, but Gustafsson threw the mid up and caught it.
Johansson from a sharp angle had it blocked by Samsonov. Puck goes down into Minnesota territory, and Goligoski will go back to retrieve it. No score first period, 12:54 to play, as the Wild are 0 for 1 on the power play. A long shot, pad save, and a good one made there by Leaf netminder. Up on the wing for Domi. Rink-wide pass for Klingberg. Klingberg to the line. Offside, says the linesman. And play is whistled dead with 12:36 left to play in the first period. Looking for the first goal of the game. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Netflix is a Joke Radio brings you exclusive comedy specials and stand-up from Netflix's massive library from the world's biggest comedians. And this weekend, we'll be having a marathon of Netflix specials from the likes of Chelsea Handler.
You want a party? I'd be like, I don't know. Does me? Yeah, let's go.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh my God, I've never been referred to as the Fluffy.
Jim Jeffries.
I'm high and dry, baby. High and dry.
And more. Netflix is a Joke Radio, Channel 93, and on the SiriusXM app.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on SiriusXM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter.
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the SiriusXM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Leafs nothing and the Minnesota Wild nothing. This is the second of 3 home games for the Maple Leafs. They'll entertain the Chicago Blackhawks here on Monday night. The Hawks are in Montreal for the Canadiens' home opener.
I don't recall ever seeing Minnesota this early in the season before.
No.
Or even on a Saturday night.
Leafs are 4-0 in their last 4 games against the Wild.
Now, in the old Norris division, you would have seen Minnesota on a regular basis on a Saturday night. Of course, that franchise moved to Dallas to become the Dallas Stars before the Wild came to town.
The Marriott Hotel across the street from the rink in Bloomington, Minnesota. I met the wonderful wrestler George the Animal Steele in that hotel. Shot down into the Minnesota zone. Knies knocks it into the corner, tried to get it back again, but it was intercepted and played out at center ice by the Wild. Hammered right back in again. Knies is after it into the far corner. Tries to use his size there against Middleton. Goes around back of the net for Minten. He reverses the puck into the far corner. Reaves ran into Knies, and then Reaves hammers one of the Wild on the far side. Who was that? That was Marco Rossi, I believe. It was a shot the other way. And then Reaves nailed another one, and now we've got Foligno and Reaves going to go at it. They're right in front and now have latched onto sweaters, and no punches thrown as yet. Now we go. Reaves and Foligno. Right uppercut by Foligno. Reaves counters with the right hand. The other player is down, and that is Goodrow, as now Reaves gets a couple in on Foligno and has him up against the glass.
They're teammates a year ago, and most likely good friends, but Foligno, much like Arbor Jacki did in the opener, you like the fact that you're standing up for a teammate, but to me this was a clean hit. 2 clean hits by Reaves on the same shift. As Goodrow got caught, his head down a bit. Coming into the Leafs zone, and it's right around the right wing circle as he tries to cut in. Ryan Reaves just drills it, but to me it looked like it was more the chest than any kind of head shot.
Nation penalty, Minnesota number 17, both 5 minutes each for fighting.
Think our job's easy, do you?
Put a mic on anybody.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe we couldn't do your job.
Yeah, but we could do that part of it a little better, I should think.
What I do is I love the hand gesture for the fighting penalty as well. So the little...
Yeah, sort of like the Rock'em Sock'em.
Or, you know, the power walkers. Yeah. They move their arms. They walk.
I'm a power walker. Yeah. I don't move my arms.
No. But you're supposed to. That's,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know a lot of stuff.
Good. Well, keep posting it to yourself if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, you have no idea what's up there.
Played back to the point. Here's Addison sending it around the boards for the Wild. Into the corner now. Trying to work free is Duhaime. Comes back along the boards, and it's intercepted by Domi and fed out at center for Nylander. Nylander in across the line, then takes it back out. Now he's circling back to his own blue line. Played ahead for Tavares. Back for Nylander. That didn't work, but Domi is able to recover the puck and flip it in. Tavares goes after it into the corner, but Addison has swung it around, and then unable to trap it was Giordano as the puck sails all the way down into the Leaf end.
Well, that's unfortunate because Giordano read it perfectly. Went right to the left wing boards waiting for the puck, but it bounces past him.
Both teams have made a change. McCabe's pass to center. Bertuzzi knocks it in on the backhand. Faber will play it around the boards on the near side, and McCabe got trapped, and out at center ice now is Kaprizov. He works it across the line. Worked it into the left wing boards for Broden. Broden around back of the net. Chopped into the corner and got it back to the point. Kaprizov with a shot, and traffic scores! It was almost stopped by the redirection in front of the net.
I think it was
but
Austin.
Ryan Hartman is going to get the goal, I believe.
Well, it was Austin Matthews, Joe, that tried to turn his skate to redirect it. I mean, this is just a simple wrist shot. It's how Montreal scored a couple of goals 2 nights ago.
Yeah, it may not. Yeah, Hartman didn't touch it, did he? So
although Hartman was the first one to the bench, was he not?
Well, but he pointed back to the
he
blue
went
line.
to Kaprizov was the one that let it go. Oh, maybe, you know what?
Off his skate. Off his skate. Yep.
The double deflection, off his stick, off his skate, and then in. And it looked like Austin Matthews would have got a piece of it originally because Matthews was doing the same motion of trying to kick at it.
So for the second straight game, the Leafs surrender the opening goal. And it's 1-0 Minnesota, who now have 10 shots on goal to the Leafs 5. Played down into the Minnesota zone. Broden in along the boards will punch it up on the wall. Trying to get it out is Marcus Johansson, intercepted. And now here the Wild in across the line. Drop for Boldy. His shot was blocked. Knies laying it back behind the net for Morgan Riley to T.J. Brodie. Brodie returns the favor to his defense partner, and Riley carries the puck down the left wing boards and sends it into the Minnesota end. Middleton laying it into the near corner and off the glass to the line. Doesn't get out. Wow, big hook there sent Dewar sprawling. And now it's gone up and out of play into the screen. 9:17 left to play in the period, and it is 1-0 in favor of the Minnesota Wild. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
The wheels on the bus go. Do more in a reliable Subaru, they said. Enjoy more time together to go more places with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, they said. More award-winning safety for more peace of mind, but to listen to one song over and over again with fantastic acoustics. I love you, family, but the singing, nobody warned me about the singing.
Hurry to your local Subaru dealer and get more out of every kilometer this fall, including more karaoke.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2-minute truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2-minute truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
2 good saves, 3 good saves, another shot, 4 good saves made.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
9:17 to play first period. It is Hartman from Kaprizov and Brodin. And it is the first goal of the season for Hartman. And a 1-0 Minnesota lead here in the first period.
Hartman had a 15-goal, 37-point season a year ago.
Fired down into the Wild zone, trapped in the far wing. A centering pass. Matthews scores! Austin Matthews hovering around in the slot, and that is a dangerous spot for a dangerous player. And it is tied at a goal.
Mitch Marner with a great feed from the right wing boards. Seems to put it through a couple of pairs of skates and sticks. This all starts with a face-off outside the Minnesota line. Throw it in. Marner gloves it down, picks it up, and spots Matthews between the hash marks. And Brock Besser, you're tied.
Yeah. Fourth goal of the season for Austin Matthews, yes.
With the 4-goal game in the opener for Vancouver over Edmonton. By the way, for Matthews, we talked about his numbers in opening games of the season. Matthews now has played in 7 season openers and has 12 goals. Now, 7 of the 12 came in 2 games, but still pretty impressive, isn't it?
I would say so. Leafs win the face-off. First goal surrendered by the Minnesota Wild, as the Wild are back in their own end, getting it out at center. And Brody sends it back up the middle, and it'll roll down on goal. Wild have to go back in their own zone. Matthews against the board, centered, and it was just out of the reach of Bertuzzi. Now Matthews steals the puck again. Works it in along the boards for McCabe, but he couldn't hook up with Marner, and now here the Wild back. Dangerous rush, Hartman in, and the shot went wide. The rebound came back in front, and Bertuzzi is there to play it out into the neutral zone. Addison backpedaling in his own territory, got it ahead and launches it down into the Leaf end. McCabe got it up for Tavares. He was unable to find his winger. It comes to an open wing. Klingberg couldn't get there in time, and then a long shot by Addison is handled there nicely by Samsonov. And now we've got another scrum going on, and we've got Max Domi throwing punches. Domi's involved in a headlock now and taken into the corner. And both players wrestled to the ice.
You know what you like about this? Leafs are initiating a lot of these scrums instead of trying to defend it. And this crowd acknowledges Max Domi the way his father's been acknowledged many times in this building. It's going to be a couple of roughing penalties or just one. Only the Leaf door, both doors are open.
26, 2 minutes each, roughing.
All right,
and
right
Dewar,
call.
Yep. So at 12 minutes, both players to the box. And you're right, Jim. It's not reacting.
It's not like who's got to protect these guys.
Proactive. Yeah, exactly.
And we saw it with the 2 big hits by Ryan Reaves earlier in this game as well.
How about all of the diatribe coming from Montreal about how...
Arbor Jacka?
Yeah. That's hardly wait for the rematch. This is going to be better than Probert Domi. Right wing side for Nylander. Punched out at center. Nylander trying to squeeze by. Got it to Tavares. Tavares comes to the front of the net, and a penalty is coming to Minnesota for interference as Nylander couldn't squeeze down the boards after getting the puck to Tavares.
John Merrill is going to go for the Minnesota Wild. It was Nylander who chipped it up the right wing boards to Tavares, and then Merrill's going to put the squeeze onto Nylander. Although this, Nylander's still pretty close to the puck, so he had the death stare coming from Dean Evison, the coach of the Minnesota Wild.
12:23 the time of the penalty, a 1-1 tie. Leafs first power play. They were 2 for 4 with the man advantage against Montreal.
And Minnesota 3 for 3 in their opener against the Florida Panthers. The penalty kill.
The Leafs didn't practice 3 against 4 penalty killing that happened in the overtime. Now they have a 4-on-3 power play. And they win the draw. Nylander back at the blue line, down low into the corner. Matthews holds, back for Nylander, just did get to him, return to Matthews, a centering back, they score! Tavares! What a great deflection, and what a wonderful pass from Austin Matthews, and the Leafs have a 2-1 lead.
No, and this to me, Joe, is where you compare Austin Matthews to a year ago. We saw it in opening night, especially the fourth goal that the Leafs scored when he just turned and fired it along the ice towards the net. He does something similar here, but just puts it across the top of the crease to where John Tavares is standing, and Tavares just redirects it into the net. But you see the zip on that. It was just a hard pass. And you wonder how much of last year was that wrist. Because would you not admit there just seems to be that crispness in everything Austin Matthews does with the puck in the early going here.
Well, that's his first assist of the season, so we've got that going. About time. Brought in over the line now by Liljegren. Centering pass. Just deflected wide by Knies. Liljegren up against the boards on the far side, and the puck comes out into neutral ice, and Yarncrook will play it back, and Liljegren will try to stretch things out. 4-on-4 here for another 50 seconds. But the Maple Leafs on a 4-on-3 power play are able to take the lead. Matthews again. In over the line. Little stutter step as he works into the corner along with Morgan Riley. Works out of the corner. Still has the puck. Left it for Marner. Marner a little spinning move, and then Riley couldn't keep the puck in for him. John Tavares had a 3-point night the other night, all assists, so his first goal of the season. And the Maple Leafs have a 2-1 lead. Nylander and Matthews the assist. Wild in over the line, have it taken away. A feed ahead for Marner didn't work. Kept in by Faber, who plays down into the corner. And now the Leafs have it under control, and they're going to stretch things out as the penalty box door opens, and out comes Domi along with Connor Dewar. Puck back of the Toronto goal. 5:48 to go, first period. 2-1 Toronto. David Camp on the wing for McCabe. Punched it ahead but couldn't get it into the zone. Gets it again. Plays it back to the Minnesota blue line. Now the Wild trying to organize in their own zone. And Faber will play it back to his defense partner, and out comes Minnesota to center. Stolen there nicely. Good play by Gregor. Gregor in over the line, looking in front of the net. A shot by Minten, and that was deflected wide. Great hustle there by Noah Gregor. Played to the blue line, kept in by Toronto. Fed into the far corner, no one there, and Brodin will get it out into neutral ice. To the right wing side, Kaprizov into the slot. Closing now with a pass back, and a shot went high over top of the Leaf net. May have been partially deflected, and it's a good thing it was. Wild again. In on the left wing, and a shot goes high and wide, and it's going to carry him to the line, but not out. Kept in by Minnesota. Kaprizov to the left wing side. Gets it back again, and his one-timer went wide. A sharp angle shot didn't work. Noah Gregor just trying to get it out, and he has. He'll get a change started here for Toronto. Kaprizov, left wing side, trying to work it back in, and the pass for Zuccarello just failed to connect in the doorstep. At the point, Addison, shot wide of the goal. Nylander is able to punch it out at center with one man back. Domi is with them. To Domi, back for Nylander, and it was just out of his reach. Nylander back towards the blue line. Circles with it, still with it. Works down the left wing, still with it. Goes back of the goal, still with it. Works to the far half boards, still with it. Now a shot, and it's kicked away by Gustafsson. Nylander with it again, and a shot. It hits the side of the goal. And Kaprizov back in his own zone, trying to get a change of players going.
I don't know what's you, but we've seen almost 4 periods of this season, and it's really got the flavor of the 80s, doesn't it? Wide open, all kinds of opportunities, lots of goals. There's got to be a coach that can screw all that up.
Here's Dewar getting it back to the point in the Leaf end. Played down into the corner.
And for years, Jacques Lemaire in Minnesota was able to do it.
Yes, he was. There's a shot right on, stopped by Samsonov. Another shot blocked that comes to the side of the Leaf goal. Duhaime getting it back along the near boards. Good cycling done here by Minnesota. Pat Maroon back of the goal. Maroon trying to work free, goes back of the net, couldn't center. That was stopped by John Klingberg. He played into an empty corner, and Minnesota's there again. This time Matthews was able to block a shot, and the Leafs get it out, and they'll get a change going. 2:46 to play in the period, and the Leafs with a 2-1 lead. Brought on by Johansson. He has to drop it back. Matt Boldy goes back for it, trying to play it into the zone. Yarncrook was there for Toronto. Leafs stretching things out. Morgan Rielly in the near corner. Pass up on the wing for Knies. Knies couldn't get it into the zone. Plays it back instead to Rielly. Rielly will go to the other side. Liljegren chipping it in over the line, off a stick, so no icing. Wild will play it up on the boards and just get it out at center ice. Matthews and Tavares have scored for Toronto, and it is 2-1 over the Minnesota Wild with 2 minutes to go here in period number 1. Knies in against the boards. Minten tips it back to him. Centering pass was blocked. It comes to the blue line, and a long shoot-in is swallowed up by Philip Gustafsson, held for a face-off in the Minnesota zone. 1:49 left to play, first period. 2-1, the Leafs with the lead. And you're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Let's go, football fans. This week on Let's Go with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald and me, Jim Gray.
You know, it's a great culture up there in New England. We've had a great culture for a long time, as long as I was a part of it. You know, it's tough to see teams lose, and I think you realize the competitiveness of the NFL. It's a very difficult league to win. And when you do win, you need to appreciate it because it's a hard thing to do.
Listen now to the extended version of Let's Go, exclusively on the SiriusXM app, included with all our trials and popular plans. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. SiriusXM 91 and the SiriusXM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on SiriusXM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the SiriusXM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Face-off coming in the Minnesota zone with 1:49 to play in the period and a 2-1 Toronto lead.
Well, Marc-Andre Fleury not getting the start tonight. He's 15 games away from being the fourth goalie in NHL history to hit 1,000 games played. Can you name the other three?
Marty Brodeur.
Marty Brodeur, one.
Roberto Luongo.
Bobby Luongo, two.
Oh, and Patrick Waugh. Right? Yeah.
Pretty good company, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it's funny that they're all of the same era, really, right? Late 90s, or 90s into the 2000s. Although I guess Fleury came in a little later, but I mean, we're not talking about now the more games, but goalies play a fewer percentage of those games than they did. I mean, Glenn Hall's record, that's got to be the one in sports that
not a chance.
Anybody, like
not even a remote chance of that.
504 consecutive starts.
Consecutive games. Long shot, just wide of the Leaf goal, goes to the right wing side. That drive was blocked by Camp. Camp will get it back at the net for Morgan Rielly, and the Maple Leafs start out with a lead pass that is deflected off the glass down into Minnesota territory. Goaltenders slipping it into the far corner. Up on the wing now for Foligno, who is out of the penalty box, along with Ryan Reaves. And Camp out there as it's played in over the line. A partial breakaway and a pad save made by Samsonov. Rossi got in behind the defense.
Last minute of play in the first period.
Tavares works down in over the line to Domi. Domi holds on his backhand. Dishes it back to the point. A shot. Easy save for Gustafsson as he steered it wide. Nylander couldn't keep the puck in. Now Liljegren chasing back into his own zone and will reverse the puck for Nylander, and the Leafs just get it to the line and out. Less than a minute to go in the period. Fired deep into Toronto territory. Boldy let it go, and Domi comes away with it. Ahead to Tavares. Tavares in over the line to Willie. Nylander closing. Nylander's trying to come in front of the goal. He scores! Holy mackerel, what a move! Willie Nylander, backhand, forehand, into the net. It's 3-1.
Whatever it is, the salary cap is going up next year. Give it to him. There's Willie Nylander, the power move coming off the left wing boards. And the sound you heard was some kid in Duluth throwing his controller at the TV screen. This is right out of the video game. John Tavares gets over the line, drops it to Nylander on the left wing side, and the right-handed shooting Nylander sips his way into the front of the net and around Gustafsson to give the Leafs a 3-1 lead.
10 seconds left in the period. Puck down in the Toronto end is launched down into Minnesota territory, and that will end an outstanding first period here for Toronto.
Probably a period, Joe, that they still gave up more than you would have liked. I mean, some partial breakaways. You like the fact that they responded after giving up the first goal, but Ilya Samsonov, who might have had a tough game against the Montreal Canadiens, is really a big reason why the Leafs escaped the opening 20 minutes with a 3-1 lead. He stopped 11 of 12. The Leafs put 10 of 13 past Philip Gustafsson and have a 3-1 lead after one.
John Tavares and Max Domi get the assists, and for Domi, his first point as a Toronto Maple Leaf, and he's on the bench when they scored, but that doesn't really matter. It's fine. I think his dad was probably on the bench a lot of times when he got assist. But it's 3-1 in favor of the Wild. We'll step aside. Alish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert are coming along with our first period intermission with the Leafs up 3-1. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan on the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Keith Richards.
May I call you Sir Keith Richards?
Lord.
Lord.
The legend.
If you're making music, silence is your canvas.
The rock star.
I never put on an act in my life. If I appear to be stoned on a couch, I'm probably stoned on a couch, you know.
The Howard Stern interview.
You got the groove going. You know,
I do have the groove.
You do.
Howard Stern and Keith Richards. Now on Howard 100 and the SiriusXM app.
NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now. You know, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in '93. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play. Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Under review. It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under Review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter.
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to Sirius XM FC 157.
Leafs Radio Network.
Tavares in over the line. Willie. Nylander closing. Nylander's trying to come in front of the goal. He scores! Holy mackerel, what a move! Willie Nylander, backhand, forehand, into the net. It's 3-1.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. It's Ailish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert with your intermission recap of what I think we could say was a wild period. Even though Justin said the Wild weren't wild, that was wild.
That was pretty wild. Admittedly, that was wild. I was wrong. That was really, really wild. We were kind of joking around about it. Kind of random. Minnesota Wild, first Saturday of the year, first hockey night in Canada of the year. But maybe these two teams, maybe the schedule makers know, because that was an awesome period. It's not the defensive masterclass from either side. But that William Nylander...
Fans don't come here and pay lots of money for defense.
No,
they want
they don't.
Willie Nylander deking through the entire...
They do.
Minnesota Wild to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, and I will say on that goal, I mean, John Tavares did a great job sort of running a little bit of interference. Not interference that's going to take goals off the board in important playoff games, but he went around Joel Eriksson-Ek, who's going to be in the Selke Trophy conversation, or maybe not anymore, after Patrice Bergeron hung him up. But this is a great defensive center that William Nylander just walked around to score one of the goals of the year. I'm going to say it now already for the Maple Leafs. That was an unbelievable goal, and a cherry on top, a great first period for the Maple Leafs.
All right, so Leafs lead 3-1 after 20 minutes. That Nylander goal we just played back in was right near the end of the period. So let's go through how the Leafs got to a 3-1 lead after 20.
Yeah, it didn't start out great. I mean, the Maple Leafs still haven't scored the first goal in a game this season. It's only been 2, but you don't want to fall behind, and they have so far. But they stormed back. Austin Matthews debuting another new goal song.
Let's get to that after. But new goal song, we are right, folks. There's another one.
Matthews scored his 4th, and then he scored his 5th. We thought it was John Tavares before on the power play, but it did not touch the blade of Johnny T. So 5 goals in 4 periods for Austin Matthews to start the year. And then we just talked about the William Nylander goal in the last minute. He scores to make it 3-1. So Maple Leafs shouldn't want to give up the first goal, obviously, but when you can answer with 3 in a first period, it leads to a pretty successful one.
Okay, let's go back to the Matthews stats, because 2 goals tonight, 3 obviously on opening night. That's 5. First player with 5 goals within the Maple Leafs in the first 2 games of the season since Wendell Clark in 91-92. Matthews currently on a 308 goal pace for the season.
Okay, that's sustainable.
That might be over the 50. We were talking about the over-under 50. And 5 goals for the first 2 games of the regular season for the first time in his NHL career for him.
Which is interesting, because remember, Austin Matthews, like his hat trick the other night wasn't the best first game of the season he's ever had. As a rookie, he scored 4 in his debut, of course. So I guess he didn't score in the follow-up game there, because 5 is now the new benchmark through 2 games. I guess we can say that it's the best start of Austin Matthews' career.
I mean, statistically, yes, and he's looking like he's dominating out there, like with so much confidence, and that's kind of what we are trying to glean from. Okay, you get a hat trick in your first game. You didn't play your best 60 minutes. You still got 3 goals. What does that lead into? And in the first period of the next game, you've got 2. William Nylander, of course, 4 periods, 4 points as well. But this game started the energy really for the Maple Leafs with the guy we teed up in the pregame, Ryan Reaves. And he drops the gloves after laying an absolute massive mid-ice hit, which was clean in my opinion. And he gets this crowd going, and the Maple Leafs put 2 in the net.
So he was joking around before the game, I guess joking, but semi-serious as well, saying, I hit my friends a little bit harder. I guess then Marco Rossi was a friend. I guess Freddie Gaudreau was a friend. And I guess Marcus Foligno was a friend, too, because he kind of hit the trifecta, 2 massive hits leading to a fight. Ryan Reaves stays in the headlines before. And, of course, the first period, if it wasn't for that scoring binge from the Maple Leafs, Revo would be the story.
Yeah, and it was. And then the script kept writing itself with some really nice goals for the Maple Leafs. But the Revo contract was something we talked about preseason. You know, he's signed not for 1 year, for a couple, and for some money that the Maple Leafs might have had to wanted to give to other players and had to,
it cost him Sam Lafferty, probably.
It sure did. Like just a couple $100,000. I know it sounds crazy. A couple $100,000 or a couple thousand here or there didn't allow for them to keep Sam Lafferty on their lineup. But if Ryan Reaves can now do 2 fights in 2 games, I mean, he's not going to fight at a 82 game pace, 82 fights.
We don't think.
I don't think so. But it's that presence that we saw later in the period where Domi was getting physical and Matthews is feeling like he can be physical. It certainly looks in a 2-game sample size and in the preseason that the Maple Leafs are playing a little bit differently when Ryan Reaves can set the tempo, can set the physicality, and delivers when he is asked to.
And what I do appreciate the most about Ryan Reaves, well, there are a couple things. I do appreciate the quotes that we get every time he steps in front of a mic. But Ryan Reaves is a clean, tough guy. That was a clean hit on Freddie Gaudreau. It was a devastating hit. It sent Frederick Gaudreau to the locker room for concussion protocol, we assume. But that was a clean hit, and you can't take anything away from him when the hits are clean. It's not all clean, though. And that's, I think, a difference between this Leafs team of this year and of the past. More jerks. Max Domi's jerk. Yep. And you saw him slashing away at Matt Zuccarello on the way to the bench. Max Domi got a roughing minor after a little wrestling match with Connor Dewar. He is trying to also have that same Reeves-style impact where he's getting under the skin. He is more physical. He is nasty to play against. And that's the biggest difference. These aren't your Kyle Dubas Maple Leafs. They are a little meaner. They are a little tougher. They are a little bit more of a pesty bunch.
Yeah, so a 3-1 lead after the first period. Willie Nylander's goal, as you mentioned, is going to be on the highlight reel already. He's a guy that I just opened Twitter, and I think I could summarize what Twitter's saying. Pay that man whatever he wants. If he's going to score goals like that, hand him the bag. And it was a beauty, and you're going to see that one on the highlight reel moving forward. But he has such poise and such creativity. Like, the way he got through all of those Wild defenders, there was moments where he was out of room and out of time, but he finds a way to dance around everyone. The poise, the confidence to go around the goaltender as well. Like, you don't see that with many players, and he will demand a lot of money if this is the way he's going to continue his season.
Yeah, we saw it, right? Patience. Patience very important. He's got all the skills, but he's also got that patience, and he is a offensive weapon. He's one of the few guys in the league that can do what he did, and that means money. And we'll see who's paying him that money, but I think the Leafs would be crazy not to.
All right, so we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with a couple more first period thoughts on the other side. You listen to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, the fan of the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
NHLshop.ca, the official online store of the National Hockey League. And Canada's largest selection of officially licensed NHL fan gear. With unique one-of-a-kind designs by Fanatics, Adidas, and all the latest styles for every NHL team. Don't miss out. Shop now and get today's special offer. NHLshop.ca, a Fanatics experience.
They say the game starts when the puck is dropped, right? Wrong. NHL Preplay, presented by Bet99.ca, is the game before the game. It's the free-to-play daily NHL Pick'em game. So how's it work? Every game day before the puck is dropped, answer up to 10 questions and earn points for a chance to win $100,000. It's that easy. Score big with the game before the game. Play today on the NHL app or at NHL.com/preplay.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin.
Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
All right, everyone. Step up and down. Left foot, right foot. You're climbing up a trail. Now back in your Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive and getting active in the real world. Work those abs. Driving right through the mud and left and right. Keep that core engaged and bend at the knees as you load more to your Subaru. Windows down. Take in that outdoor air and park.
Get more value out of every kilometer at your local Subaru dealer, starting with award-winning safety.
Truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2-minute truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2-minute truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Heron. Experience true luxury at Williamsburg Green in Kitchener. Heathwood's all-brick single-family homes come with a long list of features you've always dreamed of. Gourmet kitchens, freestanding tubs, and even fully finished lower levels. Dare to compare and you'll see why it's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Molson Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Let's take a look at the scoreboards around the NHL. The NHL scoreboard is presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
Two finals. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Panthers 6-4, so the Panthers now 0-2. Senators up 5-2, or beat the Flyers 5-2. A couple more games that are ongoing. Red Wings have a 3-2 lead over the Lightning. Flames and Penguins, zeros. Blackhawks and Canadians, zeros.
Oh, no Bedard points yet?
Not yet.
Washed up,
Locked
Justin.
up at 1. Blue Jackets up 2-1 on the Rangers, and the Islanders are up 2-0 on the Sabres.
All right. I saw that maybe the save of the year has already come from the Calgary Flames game. Markstrom, I saw that one trending on Twitter, so take a look at that one online. We did get confirmation that the name of the goal song that we heard 3 times in the first period is called Dup Dup. So Google that thing, because I'd never heard of it in my life.
Yeah,
Dup Dup.
I don't think that one's going to resonate quite like the other two. We'll see if they have another keyboard tune for us a little later on.
All right, Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph have the call of the second period next. You're listening to Molson Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
In a season already plagued with injuries and underachievers, your fantasy football team is faced with yet another obstacle.
The boy weeks are here! The boy weeks are here!
When your star player takes a week off, listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio for winning fantasy football advice.
You got to work the waiver wire. You got to make trades. The draft is just a piece of the puzzle.
Our experts tell you who to play in this time of need.
Now the work really starts.
Your frontline source for fantasy football. SiriusXM Channel 87 and on the SXM app.
In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland! Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best! What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM. Hockey lives here.
Suzuki sweeps it. There's a chance. Rebound, Caulfield shoots and scores.
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM. The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back. Stick handles to the backhand. Moves in front. Score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Radio Network.
Getting set for the start of the second period as the puck is dropped, and the Leafs carry a 3-1 advantage into period number 2 and defend the goal down to our left as it clears down into that corner, and Bertuzzi getting it to Matthews, who finds Brody. Brody's backhand pass went astray, and an icing call coming here in the second period. Brought to you by Desjardins Insurance. Insurance with a heart so big, it shows. Visit Desjardins.com/heart today.
The Minnesota Wild, they've made the playoffs 9 of the last 10 seasons. But do you know they have not won a playoff series since 2015. Lost in the first round in 8 straight seasons. Can you imagine going that long without winning a playoff series?
You really are. You're on your game tonight, aren't you?
I got a million.
Oh, you got a million on the line. I was just about to ask, do they take as much heat as the other team that we know that hasn't done that?
I don't think so.
Oh, probably not. Play down into the Toronto end. Brody being hounded there by Eriksson Ek. Able to flip it around to the left wing side to Riley, who finds Marner at center. Marner to the line. Left wing feed Bertuzzi. Back to Marner. Marner working at the point. Got it to Riley. Fed back of the net for Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi kicks it back of the goal for Matthews into the near corner. Matthews to the point. Klingberg shot. Deflects high in the air. Bertuzzi trying to settle it down. Matthews couldn't get to it. And the Wild will break it out at center ice. Backhanding it into neutral territory. Broden. And it's a high stick that has made contact and will bring it back. This is a historic day. A historic day for our very good friend Tom Reed down doing the color in the Minnesota Wild box there. He was Montreal Canadiens. Took a penalty.
Okay, now, but we've got to preface it. This is 1971, was yes. Tom was playing for the Minnesota North Stars.
That's right. And low scoring defenseman. Like really low scoring defenseman. And he took a penalty, and when the penalty was expired, he burst out of the penalty box and was on a breakaway when he was hauled down by Guy Lapointe. And so awarded a penalty shot, as a long shot here is deflected wide by Gustafsson. When he went to the bench, Mr. Gordon, the coach, with his fedora on, asked politely, does he have to take it? As we're going to get a penalty here against Minnesota. The answer from Bruce Hood was yes. So on very wet ice, sloppy ice, it was warm. He went down and shocked the world and Ken Dryden by scoring a 5-hole shot for a goal.
And here's the best part. The 1-1 tie. Henri Richard opened the scoring for the Canadiens in the first period. So this was October 14th, 1971. So it is the anniversary of this. Ended up in a 1-1 tie. Dryden stopped 39 of 40. Gump Worsley's topped 32 of 33.
Look at that.
Isn't that great?
Goligoski has gotten the penalty for tripping. And the Leafs to their second power play. Matthews lost the draw, and it's banked out and down the ice by Minnesota. John Klingberg goes back behind the goal. He starts out with it. Klingberg to the blue line, dropping it now for Matthews. Matthews looks for Marner, but carries to the line himself. In across the line, but it rolled off his stick. And is quickly shot back down the ice by Minnesota. Klingberg goes back to recover the puck. He starts out. Matthews is behind him, takes the pass, Marner with him. He takes the pass and gets it to Nylander on the right wing. Nylander back to Marner. Marner overskated the puck and fell. Cleared to the line. Klingberg was able to keep it in. Tavares snapped the shot towards the net, but it was intercepted and cleared down the ice by Minnesota. Minute 8 to go. Second unit coming over the boards.
Wouldn't it be great to see the second unit bang one in here?
Domi through center. Left wing feed. Knies drops it back to Riley. Near side Liljegren. Into the corner now. Centering pass. Oh, what a chance there. And Minten had it, or at least Bertuzzi had it on his stick, but he finned on the shot and it went wide. Boy, he was right there though. Riley dropping it back for Domi. Domi through center with a pass to Liljegren, who gains the zone. Rings it around for Bertuzzi. Fed around back of the net. Quickly hammered off the boards. Liljegren able to keep it in. Good play. Domi on the near half boards. Still with it. Looks back towards the point. Saucers it back to Liljegren. Cross ice for Riley. Down low in front of the net. They score! Bertuzzi! Sudbury zone! Tyler Bertuzzi makes it 4-1 with a power play goal, his first in a Leaf uniform.
This was a terrific little touch pass from Kelly Yarncroc, who was set up off the goal line to the right of Gustafsson. And Yarncroc takes the Morgan Riley pass and just pushes it back out towards Bertuzzi, who turns and chops it between the blocker and the goalpost. And the Leafs' power play is on fire to start this season. 4 for 6 on the year. That'll win you a few games, won't it, that percentage?
I would suggest. Now, they were second in the league. And, of course, Edmonton's was just ridiculous, above 30%. Here are the Leafs coming to center. Played it in. Reaves looked like he knocked that down with a high stick, but to no avail. And
I think the way he's played tonight, none of the referees want to tell him.
Drop pass now and coming in with a shot, Boldy, and they score! Zuccarello dropped it back, and Boldy got Samsonov kind of leaning. He was down in the butterfly, and it went over his shoulder and into the net, and it's 4-2.
I mentioned Boldy was a 30-goal scorer last year, and this is one you'd like to see snag. Doesn't look like it went off anything. I mean, it was a perfectly placed shot, but from out well enough, closer to the left wing boards in the middle of the ice.
Wow, that's a bad angle for a goal to be scored.
Samsonov went down early, stayed down, and Boldy was able to change the angle and find his sliver up over the right shoulder in the short side.
First goal of the season for Boldy after Bertuzzi had increased the lead, and now here's striding out at center is Kaprizov. Kaprizov to the left wing side, trying to work in there is Boldy. He works it back, had it intercepted though by Yarncroc, and Calle Yarncroc for the Leafs comes to the red line and flips it in, and now changes coming here. But we get a whistle from the linesman, and I'm not, maybe it was offside. Okay, yeah, offside. I knew that Yarncroc had certainly gotten to the red line before flipping it in. But the offside is whistled down, and so the face-off is outside the Minnesota blue line.
By the way, with Austin Matthews scoring twice, he now has 304 goals in his Toronto Maple Leaf career. And the next one to catch is Ron Ellis, who has 332 career all-time goals with the Leafs.
Leafs keep the puck in, and a shot from the blue line, and Matthews had his stick lifted just before he might have been in prime scoring position. Played down into the Toronto end. Brody in against the boards. Took a pretty good elbow there from Pat Maroon, and the Leafs get the puck out into the center ice area. And it bounces into the Toronto bench, and so a face-off coming in neutral ice. Boy, Maroon really did get the elbow up there.
I've already seen Ryan Reaves go at it with Marcus Foligno in this game. They would have been teammates, and I would imagine that Ryan Reaves and Pat Maroon would have been teammates in St. Louis.
Reaves is fairly well traveled. Face-off in the center ice area, controlled by the Wild. Broden gets it ahead on the wing and plays to the line. Chopped back out there nicely by Giordano. And now Liljegren will play it up to the line. Nylander slides back. Winds up in his own area. Got it to the line. Couldn't get it in. Now it does come in with Domi carrying it in. Played to the right wing side to Liljegren. He settles and sends it to the net. And it deflects off the stick of Tavares up into the screen and out of play.
Well, Liljegren took a pretty good hit from Marcus Foligno after throwing that to the net. Liljegren gets up, snow all over the back of his jersey and pants. Leafs holding on to a 4-2 lead, 6 goals, and the shots are just 14 apiece.
Fan with a Bertuzzi jersey on, celebrating Tyler Bertuzzi's first Leaf goal. Shot from the point, whistles wide by Nylander. Broden will work around back of the net. Wild start out of their own zone. And it is shot in off the boards and into the near corner. Nice touch pass by Klingberg to get it out. Wild on a errant pass are going to be charged with an icing as it is coming back into the Minnesota zone with 13:53 to play here in the second period. The Maple Leafs with a 4-2 lead.
Willie Nylander in the last year of his contract before becoming a free agent. So it was going to go one way or the other. He struggles, and everybody's going to say he's distracted because he doesn't have a contract for next year. But if he continues on the pace he's on now, people are going to say, you've got to sign him.
It's all right.
Right away.
A noted broadcaster just scant seconds after he scored suggested that he should be re-signed.
Would you agree with that?
Rarely do I ever agree with that broadcaster, but yes.
Well, rarely do you quote me.
Rarely do you have anything worth quoting.
I knew you were going to say that.
Played into the Minnesota zone. Wild just flip it high, and it's going to bound wide of the goal, and an icing charge coming here against Minnesota. I agree with you.
Yeah.
The issue, of course, is how do you do it now without having that extra cap room and everything else? How can you be creative? Well, I mean, that may be the key. Yeah. Maybe it's a creative kind of a deal that Brad Treliving can come up with that Nylander is going to be happy with. As the puck squirts to center, and Morgan Riley does a nice job of hustling back on Matt Boldy and taking it away from him.
Well, as good as Nylander has been, and plus the 40 goals last year, you're going, you know what? You got to dress 15 players. And that's the price you pay for keeping the likes of Marner, Nylander, and Matthews together.
Pass by the Leafs off the stick of Marner, goes down into Minnesota territory. Gustafsson leaving it back of the net. Matthews ran into him, and now the puck on the near side with Klingberg trying to pinch to keep it in. Got it free to Marner, going to the net with the pass! Looking for Matthews in front, and it was tipped wide. Matthews around back of the net. Reverses his field and goes back behind the goal again. Back to the point it comes to Marner. Marner with a pass in, looking for a redirect. An icing charge coming here against Minnesota. I agree with you.
Yeah.
The issue, of course, is how do you do it now without having that extra cap room and everything else? How can you be creative?
Well, I mean,
and that may be the key. Yeah. Maybe it's a creative kind of a deal that Brad Treliving can come up with that Nylander is going to be happy with. As the puck squirts to center, and Morgan Riley does a nice job of hustling back on Matt Boldy and taking it away from him.
Well, as good as Nylander has been, and plus the 40 goals last year, you're going, You know what? You got to dress 15 players. And that's the price you pay for keeping the likes of Marner, Nylander, and Matthews together.
Pass by the Leafs off the stick of Marner. Goes down into Minnesota territory. Gustafsson leaving it back of the net. Matthews ran into him. And now the puck on the near side with Klingberg trying to pinch to keep it in. Got it free to Marner. Going to the net with the pass. Looking for Matthews in front, and it was tipped wide. Matthews around back of the net. Reverses his field and goes back behind the goal again. Back to the point it comes to Marner. Marner with a pass in, looking for a redirect. Bertuzzi a backhand, and that was stopped by Gustafsson on the short side. Klingberg keeping it in at the point, but he fanned on a wrist shot, and it's come all the way out at center ice. Kaprizov and across the line. Got it into the corner, stolen away there by McCabe. Played back out into neutral ice. We played 8 minutes into the second period. The Leafs with a 4-2 lead. Kaprizov sends the puck to the side of the Leaf goal, but the Leafs come away with it. Left wing side for Knies. Matthew Knies driving the net, trying to make a pass in front of the net for Minten, but the puck was deflected back to the goal, and it's back out into the center ice area. Left wing pass, Goligoski dropping it back again into the Minnesota end. Fraser Minten, your assessment of his 4 periods of work so far?
Well, solid, but I mean, only 11 and a half, 12 minutes of ice time in the opener, which is a big drop from what he was getting in the preseason. So I think that's what you want to keep an eye on, is 10 or 11 minutes up here. Better for him than playing 20 to 22 minutes in the Western Hockey League. I think that's what they've got to figure out over the next, 8 games after this.
Centering pass comes to Domi. Domi gets it up on the right wing for Tavares. Tavares has got Giordano jumping into the rush. He'll play it around back of the net, centered in front by Domi, but no one home. Out come the Wild. Left wing feed for Jake Middleton. Winding and shooting. Kicked away nicely by Samsonov. Far boards for Duhaime. Trying to work it back to the point. Long shot. Big rebound off Samsonov. That allows the Wild to carry on. Brodin goes into the corner. Looking to try and get around Nylander. Left it along the boards for Foligno. Marcus Foligno back to the point. Brodin to the near side. Faber works down into the corner. Now trying to cut in front of the goal. Good poke check. Rebound, scores! Marco Rossi in front of the net is able to jam it home after Samsonov had made a pretty good save on Faber trying to cut in the front of the net. But the Wild have wedged their way back into the game. It's now 4-3.
Again, pretty easy lane to the front of the net. And Samsonov makes a stop, the rebound up in the air and knocked out of midair. And I believe for Rossi, Joe, not his first NHL goal. He had a goal called back in the opener against the Florida Panthers.
I think you're right. Leafs play it down into the Minnesota end. Half the game is in the books. And we're right back into one of these high-scoring affairs that we had on opening night when it was 6-5.
Well, he played 19 games last season, but has scored his first NHL goal in the second game of this season. And Tom Reed was telling us how the guys, when he scored against Florida, the whole bench erupted before it was reviewed and deemed offside.
Shot off the goalpost, then it trickles wide of the Leaf goal. Played ahead and launched high down into the Leaf bench and out of play, and a faceoff is going to come in the center ice area. 9:25 left to play here in the second period, and we're in another shootout. It's 4-3 Toronto. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we've introduced Same Game Parlay Plus. It's a game changer. Making a same game parlay across different games has never been easier. Because the biggest games and most popular markets are now all in one place. Check out Same Game Parlay Plus and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Do more in a reliable Subaru, they said. Enjoy more time together to go more places with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, they said. More award-winning safety for more peace of mind, but to listen to one song over and over again with fantastic acoustics. I love you, family, but the singing, nobody warned me about the singing.
Hurry to your local Subaru dealer and get more out of every kilometer this fall, including more karaoke.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
They score! Holy mackerel, they score!
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
If you're the musical type, the goal song tonight is Dub Dub by Mickey Krause. I know it's one of your favorites. And another tune will be used Monday when the Leafs play the Chicago Blackhawks.
Do we have the scoop on Monday?
No, I don't have it.
Any chance Hair Supply makes a appearance?
There's a chance.
Some of the
probably not good, but I'm sure there's a chance.
Some of their earliest stuff was pretty edgy.
Really? Edgy? Yeah.
Well, I'd love making love out of nothing at all.
Yeah, that's edgy. Yeah. You know, maybe you playing a harmonica could be an idea. You know, we could have the spotlight come up on you. You could just kind of get into it.
Try to hum a few notes.
Yeah. Only in Toronto can we have a major league kerfuffle and controversy over some noise that's going to be drowned out by applause for the goal anyway. Cross the line, the Leafs intercept and get it ahead. Bertuzzi back to Marner. Weak shot is stopped easily there by Gustafsson. Marner trying to center, and it is knocked away, and Kaprizov will get it over on the right wing side for Faber, whose pass was intercepted. Now trying to get onside is Bertuzzi, but he just failed. And now here are the Wild getting it out at center. Zuccarello on the left wing. Rolls it to the side of the goal. Cut off there by Morgan Riley. And Riley gets it up on the left wing for Matthews. Matthews on the left wing in, and a shot taken there by Yarncrook went high and wide. Kept in at the blue line, and it comes out into the center ice area. Shot right back in again. Minten goes into the forecheck. Minten tying his man up, and Knies arrives on the scene, but the puck is dug free by Minnesota and carried out by Jake Middleton. He'll get it to center and play it down into the Toronto end. Giordano for Liljegren. Up ahead for Yarncrook. Yarncrook in on the right side. Shot was deflected wide. Goes harmlessly into the corner. Played out into the center ice area and down into the Leaf end. Pat Maroon going after Giordano. Played around the boards, and then Giordano missed a hit there from Maroon, and the Maple Leafs have the puck in the near corner and get it out at center. Minten given a jolt there by Brandon Duhaime, and it's back into Minnesota territory. One goal hockey game after Rossi from Foligno and Faber, and it's a 4-3 Toronto lead. Centering pass, shot just wide of the Leaf goal. Puck into the near corner. Wild get it back to the point. Merrill trying to play it in along the boards, and around into the far corner it goes. And Camp trying to get it out, got it to the line, but not out. Reaves runs a little bit of interference to allow Liljegren to play it back at the net, and now it's cleared to the line and out, and a delayed offside in effect, as the Leafs will get a chance to move the puck up ice or go to the bench and get a change, which is what they're doing. John Klingberg comes to center. He got it off on the wing, and it is shot in by McCabe. Down into the corner and around back of the net. Reaves running over John Merrill. Puck still free, back at the net. And now Minnesota starts out with a long lead pass at center for Foligno. Foligno will shoot it in. And it's going to be offside at the blue line with 6 minutes and 26 seconds left to play here in the second period. The Maple Leafs with a 4-3 lead on the Minnesota Wild. Were you going somewhere?
Yeah. Commercial?
I thought so, too. I was looking.
Well, somebody better tell Ilya Samsonov there's no commercial. He's gone to the Leaf bench.
Well, there is a commercial now.
Then I'll go somewhere.
Why don't you go somewhere? You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Hello, my dear. We've been waiting all year to unleash the sounds of fear. Soundtracks, scary stories, a howl, and a sneer. Sirius XM Scream, your soundtrack for Halloween, on now, Channel 107, and on the Sirius XM app.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Hey, wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91, and the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate. Weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Radio Network.
The Leafs 4, the Minnesota Wild 3 with 6:26 to play, period number 2 on Scotiabank Arena. Montreal hosting the Chicago Blackhawks tonight and have a 2-0 lead on the Hawks in the second period.
So what about for Connor Bedard? You start against Sidney Crosby. You score your first goal against Buffalo, then you get Montreal, Toronto. Pretty good introduction to the NHL, isn't it?
Yeah, I would suggest. It's going to be a great talent. Played out at center ice by the Leafs to the line and in. Tavares unable to reach it. And Nylander arrived just a little bit late and put the play offside, trying to keep the puck in. 6:12 to go here in the second period.
Well, the Leafs are expected to be great offensively. They have been. And the question mark was defensively, and that is still a concern. 8 goals in a game and a half. 8 goals against.
Domi keeping the puck in momentarily, but it's pushed ahead for Johansson. Marcus Johansson for Minnesota. Onto the left wing side for Middleton, and he couldn't pull the trigger on the shot. Down in the corner, Liljegren unable to reach it. Coming out of the corner, Maroon to the point, and a shot in traffic, and it's going to be swallowed up there by Samsonov and held for a face-off in the Toronto zone.
That Boldy right in front of Samsonov looking for the loose puck. It's actually John Tavares that came back. So it looks like they have changed the Tavares goal, Joe to Matthews.
Really?
From the opening period.
All right.
And Matthews scoring at 10:54 and 12:35, and only the one assist on the goal. That was one that Matthews threw to the top of the crease. It must have gone off the Minnesota player. The defenseman into the net, but
I thought it was Tavares, didn't you?
Yeah, memory serves, did Tavares not get to the bench first for the high fives?
Thought so.
No, Andrew is saying... Oh, he pointed that. All right.
Puck in the Toronto zone. Scooped to the line by Riley, but not cleared. And Brody is able to pound it on the boards, and it is tipped out and brought to center ice by Toronto. Played in over the line by Bertuzzi. Matthews into the corner after the loose puck, but had it stripped away. And now Leafs are getting a change started. Bertuzzi to the bench. And the Wild get it to the Toronto zone, only to have it turned over there. And Brody starts back. Matthews heading to the bench himself. Brody saucers it off to the left wing side to Riley. Quick up on the left wing. Yarncrook driving the net, going wide. Dreger trying to play it in front of the goal, and it was knocked away. And out come the Wild to center ice. Played off a skate and down into the Toronto end with 4.5 minutes to go in the period. And the Leafs up a goal, 4-3. Reaves just plays it off the boards to center. Wild, Merrill will shoot it right back into the Toronto end. Along the boards, far side, the scrum engaged, the puck along the boards, pushed out at center ice by Reaves. It's going down into the Minnesota zone and far enough to bring about an icing, and it'll come back into the Toronto end.
How about this stat? Thanks to Armin for coming up with this. Now, Austin Matthews' 60 goals season in 21-22. He recorded his 5th goal on November 6th. So he's a little ahead of pace for that. And he also becomes the first player with 5 goals within the Leafs' first 2 games of the regular season since Wendell Clark in 1991-92. See, we are right. This is more the 80s and early 90s. That's the way the scores a bit.
No kidding. Face off again in the Toronto end. So Leafs have scored 4 goals on 20 shots. And the Wild have scored 3 goals on 18 shots. At the point, Merrill back to his defense partner. Addison shot in traffic, high and wide of the Leaf goal. Chopped along the wall to the line, kept in by Merrill, and it goes off a stick and up into the screen with 3:51 to play in the period. And a face-off coming in the Toronto zone when we return. The Leafs 4, Minnesota 3. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
NHLshop.ca, the official online store of the National Hockey League. And Canada's largest selection of officially licensed NHL fan gear. With unique one-of-a-kind designs by Fanatics, Adidas, and all the latest styles for every NHL team. Don't miss out. Shop now and get today's special offer. NHLshop.ca, a Fanatics experience.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Herron. Experience a new level of luxury at Williamsburg Green. Your new single-family home will have all the modern features you dream about, even a fully finished lower level. Kitchener's newest master plan community with bike trails, parks, and a new library. Williamsburg Green has it all. It's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
Truck.ca. So when you gotta move, all moving day. Think 2-minute truck, 2-minute truck.ca. Cause all of us movers are not the same. So that's our company name, 2-minute truck.ca. We're lots of men with lots of trucks, so give us a call today.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
Long shot, deflects in front of the goal. They backhanded into the net.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Face-off coming in the Toronto zone. Leafs with a 4-3 lead here over the Minnesota Wild. Austin Matthews has scored twice. All right, Armin, you better start working on this. The last Leaf player to score hat tricks in back-to-back games to start a regular season. As Liljegren comes to center and flips it to the line, and it's chopped into the zone by Yarncrook.
Are you talking about the Leafs or anybody?
No, I'm talking about the Leafs. I wonder if it's ever been done.
It's never been done.
How would you know?
Yeah, that's a really good chance.
It's an educated guess.
And not all of our guesses are.
No. In fact, very few are substantiated with anything. Played back out at center ice, and back goes Brody with the puck. McCabe rings it around to the near side, and it'll slide all the way down into Minnesota territory. Under 3 minutes to play in the period. Leafs hanging on to a 1-goal lead. Faber back of the net.
One thing the Leaf media guide has is a list of hat-tricks by season, and I don't ever remember 2 at the very beginning.
Played into the corner by Minnesota in the Leaf end. Johansson works down and then cycles it back for Boldy. Boldy to the point now, working in Broden with a shot, and that deflected in front of goaltender Samsonov and clears up into the screen out of play.
We start talking about the goal songs. You know, and we talk, and I'm not being totally smart-ass about this. Let the players decide. You know, baseball, they have a walk-up song. Every player gets to pick his own song. What about letting the player decide what his goal song is? I mean, it's pretty easy nowadays. You just press a button, the music plays.
But how about the Tavares goal that was just changed to Matthews?
Well, you'd have to do a duet for that one.
Play both of them at the same time. Thank you. Move on. You know what? Just stick to color. We'll let game ops handle the other thing.
Sorry, but this is pretty much the extent of my abilities right here. My work is done.
Yes, my work is done here. I have no more to do. Leafs back in their own zone, and Marner starts away. Slides to center, to the line and in. Bertuzzi is with them. Spreads things out. The puck came off his stick. He was able to keep it in momentarily, but Broden has it now and gets it up to Zuccarello. Zuccarello works down into the corner, centers in front of the net, and it was deflected just wide of the Leaf goal. Marner trying to flip it out, got it to the line. Kaprizov was able to keep it in. Wrapped around the boards, it'll find Kaprizov once more. Shot deflects wide. Another shot from a sharp angle. Stopped by Samsonov. Played up on the wing, and Marner this time gets it elevated enough to get it out. But the Leafs are not able to get much of a change going. Just Bertuzzi to the bench. Now Matthews will join him. Played off the boards, but not out. Tavares chopping at it to get it ahead. Nylander was drilled there by Connor Dewar, and the puck back down into Minnesota territory with 1:08 to go in the period. Long shoot-in goes into the far corner in the Toronto end. Domi slashes it out into the center ice area. Less than a minute to go. Goligoski regrouping the puck. Minnesota starts out of their own end. They've taken over the shots on goalie, and then a stolen puck, and Nylander has a breakaway. He's in on goal! Stopped by goaltender Gustafsson at the side of the net. Nylander and Tavares can't get it in front. Tavares now back to the blue line. Fed in there by Klingberg, and a deflected wide. To the far side, and Jake McCabe pinches to keep it in. Back of the net for Tavares. Tavares, a bank pass for Klingberg. His shot, one-timer, went wide. Kept alive by McCabe. Back of the net for Tavares again. Tavares for Nylander alone. And a big save made by Gustafsson. 2 great chances there for Willie Nylander. But the Minnesota netminder came up big.
Well, at first at a partial break as Nylander darts off the left wing boards to cut in front of the net. That stopped. And the second one, a great setup from John Tavares, who's in the corner to the right of the Minnesota goaltender. Spots Nylander wide open between the hash marks. But here, I guess the downside of this, Joe, is he gets the puck and doesn't have a lot of speed. So that's why Nylander tried to pick a corner, but Gustafsson shut him down.
10 seconds left in the period. Foligno starts out on the left wing, had his pocket picked there by the Leafs, who will regroup the puck and kill off the remaining time here as the horn signals an end to the period. So after taking a 4-1 lead on Tyler Bertuzzi's first goal in a Leaf uniform, The Minnesota Wild score a pair and are back in the game, trailing 4-3 after 40 minutes of play.
A couple of nights ago, the Leafs were the team that was down in the third period and had to battle back. We'll see if they, and especially Ilya Samsonov, can be a little more conscientious here in the third period of keeping the opposition off the board.
9-7, Minnesota outshoots the Leafs in the second period. Ailish Forfire along with Justin Cuthbert coming along with our second period intermission. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Let's go, football fans.
This week on Let's Go with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald and me, Jim Gray.
You know, it's a great culture up there in New England. We've had a great culture for a long time, as long as I was a part of it. You know, it's tough to see teams lose, and I think you realize the competitiveness of the NFL. It's a very difficult league to win. And when you do win, you need to appreciate it because it's a hard thing to do.
Listen now to the extended version of Let's Go, exclusively on the SiriusXM app, included with all our trials and popular plans.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, you know, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from what I first came to the league in 93. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate with Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick. Weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. In case you missed it on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Hey, wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app. If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on SiriusXM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the SiriusXM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind, wrist the line, and walks in, put it between his legs, shoots it, scores!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Domi on the near half boards. Still with it. Looks back towards the point. Saucers it back to Liljegren. Cross ice for Riley. Down low in front of the net. They score! Bertuzzi! Sudbury zone! Tyler Bertuzzi makes it 4-1 with a power play goal, his first in a Leaf uniform.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590. The Fan, the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Justin Cuthbert and Ailish Forfar here. Leafs hold on to a 4-3 lead after 40 minutes. And I know he said Sudbury's own because Bonesy's Sudbury, and I'm half Sudbury as well. So special Sudbury shout out
how
for
many,
the
How many
trios.
hamlets do you claim?
No.
Ailish Forfar?
Mom's side is Sudbury, so I will half claim Sudbury and Bertuzzi as well. Okay. I'm going to make it a trifecta of Sudbury notice tonight.
That is fair enough. Tyler Bertuzzi, first the Leafs. Power play goal early, starts the scoring in the second period. But the Wild answer with two. Matt Boldy and then Marco Rossi gets his first NHL goal. Scored in the first game for the Minnesota Wild. It was called back when Marcus Foligno was offside. This is a guy who's gone through some health issues, so nice to see him get on the board finally in the NHL after 23 games. Seems to always happen against the Leafs, but a good story nonetheless. Leafs have to obviously consolidate this lead to make sure that it doesn't hurt them, though.
Yeah, Marco Rossi's story, and he was the first European to lead the OHL in scoring, picked 9th overall in 2020, and then had lost pretty important years of his NHL career with myocarditis. So, and I believe the Wild doctors kind of found it, and if they hadn't, it would have turned pretty tragic. So he had to take a little bit of time, and he's working his way back in. So he's a great story to cheer for. You know, us here on Maple Leafs home ice, which is a tough one, but when you see the career trajectory that he hopefully has ahead, it's great to see him back putting pucks in the net, and hopefully that's enough for tonight. Maple Leafs holding on to that period where I know we came in after the first saying that was a wild period. Well, this one was a wild period in a different sense, Justin.
To quote Jesse Pinkman, you can't keep getting away with this. The Wild puns continue and probably will after the game as well. But yeah, I think this is what we should expect. I don't know if it's the Wild doing this. I think it's the Leaf doing this. We have 10 goals plus the shootout winner in the opener. Now 7 so far in this game. These Leaf games are wide open. I don't know exactly both parts of those equations. We know one is that the Leafs have a really, really strong offense. Second power play cashing in this period. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and the like looking really, really dangerous so far to start this season. But defensively, in net, it's a little bit shaky, and a lot of people worried about John Klingberg. I'm a little bit more worried about his defense partner, Jake McCabe. There was a couple decent plays from Jake McCabe, but there have been a couple really sketchy plays from Jake McCabe so far to start this season. So, yeah, I'm more worried about the left side than I am the right, at least to start things off here. But, you know, we've looked at this defense core for a while now and thought it was incomplete. Maybe it's just McCabe being bumped down a rung instead of Klingberg in my
Well, how many periods have we had? 4, 5, 6 plus an OT period so far in regular season hockey, and I don't think we've had a 10-minute streak of good defensive hockey. I'm trying to pull that together. I can't remember a solid straight 10 minutes where the entire Leafs back end looked strong. And I know it's early in his preseason and now it's regular season game 1 or 2, but that is going to be the big talking point season long is the offense looks shored up. If you're scoring 4, 5, 6 goals a night, it's going to be fun to watch. But if you're also giving up 3, 4 a night, it's going to be a bit tight at times, and that's what we're seeing a little bit. When the Leafs weren't putting on the offensive pressure in that period, the Minnesota Wild got an opportunity to kind of walk around, and they flipped the script. They took the same offensive power that the Maple Leafs had in that first period and put it on them, and they're lucky to kind of be only holding on to a 1-goal lead at this point.
Yeah, I don't think we should be surprised, though, that there was a pushback. I mean, if you looked at the sort of the advanced data coming into this game, the Wild, you can make the argument, had the worst start of any team. And I know it was only one game, but if you do look at stuff like expected goals and total shots and shot attempts, it was a pretty futile performance despite the win against Florida the other night. So that would make 4 pretty bad periods in a row for Dean Evison and the Minnesota Wild. And before this one got out of hand, they did actually punch back. They were the better team, I think, in the second period. And a team that's so well coached like the Wild are, I don't think that would have been an expectation that they'd sleepwalk through this one as well.
Yeah, so a bit of a quieter period for the Maple Leafs, but that last 30 to 60 seconds for William Nylander had so much on his stick. He had 2 prime scoring opportunities and kind of shot it into the chest on both opportunities. And he was a little frustrated, a little bit of the slamming of the stick at the end of the period there, because it would have been great to go off into this end of this period with a 5-3 lead with the momentum back in your hands. But nonetheless, the Wild kind of won that period. Now everybody goes back to the locker room, settles in, and this next period is going to determine, I think, the state of the game. Even though Leafs have the 4-3 lead, they kind of gave the Wild an opportunity to inch back into it. So it would have been great to see Nylander capitalize just to end that period on a strong note, but the Maple Leafs got to come out hard in the first couple minutes of this third because Wild are gaining confidence, and that's a scary thing to have in a game because you thought you had it for the first period.
Yeah, something tells me there will be a few more goals left in this game, so it's pretty imperative then that the Maple Leafs do have some offense to show for in the third period, because trying to hold on to this lead, I'm not sure that's going to get it done.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with a couple more thoughts on the first 2 periods of the game before we send it to the third. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
They say the game starts when the puck is dropped, right? Wrong. NHL Preplay, presented by Bet99.ca, is the game before the game. It's the free-to-play daily NHL Pick'em game. So how's it work? Every game day before the puck is dropped, answer up to 10 questions and earn points for a chance to win $100,000. It's that easy. Score big with the game before the game. Play today on the NHL app or at NHL.com/preplay.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we've introduced Same Game Parlay Plus. It's a game changer. Making a same game parlay across different games has never been easier, because the biggest games and most popular markets are now all in one place. Check out Same Game Parlay Plus and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
Move up to Heathwood. Hi, I'm Hugh Herron. Experience true luxury at Williamsburg Green in Kitchener. Williamsburg Green is everything you want in a community. Enjoy fabulous trails, parks, playgrounds, sports areas, and more. Our beautiful all-brick homes include luxury features you've always dreamed of, even a fully finished lower level. It's time to move up to Heathwood. Learn more at heathwood.com.
All right, everyone. Step up and down. Left foot, right foot. You're climbing up a trail. Now back in your Subaru with symmetrical, full-time, all-wheel drive and getting active in the real world. Work those abs. Driving right through the mud and left and right. Keep that core engaged and bend at the knees as you load more into your Subaru. Windows down. Take in that outdoor air and park.
Get more value out of every kilometer at your local Subaru dealer, starting with award-winning safety.
They say the game starts when the puck is dropped, right? Wrong. NHL Preplay, presented by Bet99.ca, is the game before the game. It's the free-to-play daily NHL Pick'em game. So how's it work? Every game day before the puck is dropped, answer up to 10 questions and earn points for a chance to win $100,000. It's that easy. Score big with the game before the game. Play today on the NHL app or at NHL.com/preplay.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Welcome back to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. It's Ailish Thorpe and Justin Cuthbert down here at Scotiabank Arena. Maple Leafs holding on to a 4-3 lead after 2 periods. And so time to take a look at what's going around the rest of the NHL. This NHL scoreboard is presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
2 games are final, 8 are ongoing. So we'll go through what's live right now. The Red Wings are up 4-3 on the Lightning. Flames holding a slim 1-0 lead in the third over the Penguins. Canadians up 3-0 on the Blackhawks. It's 2-2 between the Predators and Bruins. David Pastrnak scored a beautiful goal and a penalty shot in that one. Of course, the Leafs are up 4-3 over the Wild. The Blue Jackets 4-1 over the Rangers. The Islanders 2-1 over the Sabres. And the Kraken and Blues entered the first intermission scoreless.
I did see on the internet that every time Connor Bedard has touched the puck, he's been booed Oh, yeah, by the Habs fans in Montreal. Like, apparently it's still going on, period 2, period 3.
Really?
Like,
Habs fans acting up?
They are not letting Connor Bedard off easy to start this season.
Not that I think it would be, like, celebratory, but welcoming in, like, another new, fresh-faced superstar, usually not met with booze, maybe more intrigue than booze, but maybe that's a Montreal thing. I don't think they're going to be booing him here in Toronto when he comes by. What is it, Monday night? I don't think the Boo Birds will be out for Bedard in Toronto. Safer spot for Connor Bedard to be out.
We'll see. So Maple Leafs with a 4-3 lead after 2 periods. The first one was theirs, the second one was the Wild. What do they got to do in this third to shore things up?
Well, I would say defensive structure, but leaning on the defensive structure right now, this early in the season, it might be go out and score 3 goals. We'll see if the Maple Leafs can do that, or just hold on.
Well, Austin Matthews is very close to being the first ever Maple Leaf to score a hat trick in the first 2 games of the season. Darryl Sittler was the closest. He had back-to-back hat tricks in the 8th and 9th game of his 80-81 season. So we could see Austin Matthews making history. We'll be back after Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph have the call of the third period next. You're listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
What it is. Connect with the R&B and hip-hop that's hot now. Slamming you out. Discover who's next. And stay up on the culture.
Cause Drake don't know how to kiss and not tell.
On the Heat.
Girl, your BD is a 0. My back shot sound like bongo.
Channel 46 and on the Sirius XM app. Included in all trials and popular plans.
The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are 2 brilliant contracts, but there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on Sirius XM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on Sirius XM FC 157 and streaming on the Sirius XM app.
Join me, Gord Stellick, and Scott Laughlin as we recap the night that was on NHL Morning Skate, weekday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to Sirius XM FC 157.
Join me, Scott Laughlin, and Gord Stellick, along with former NHLer Mike Johnson for NHL Morning Skate. Weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, Sirius XM 91.
Radio Network.
We are back here at Scotiabank Arena, getting set for the start of the third period. The Leafs carrying a 4-3 lead into the final stanza. And Austin Matthews has tallied another pair, numbers 4 and 5 on the season. Nylander and Bertuzzi, the other Leaf goal scorers. Hartman, Boldy, and Rossi have scored for the Minnesota Wild. The shots favoring Minnesota 22-20. So neither goaltender's save percentage is going to look very good after this game.
Well, now Gustafsson had the 42 save padding, right, for the shutout, the first game of the year.
That helps.
Ilya Samsonov is going to take about a 50 save third period to get the numbers where he'd like.
Played out at center ice as the Leafs defend the goal to the right and an offside at the Toronto blue line. Boldy trying to bring the puck in. So Tyler Bertuzzi, whose regular season was mixed last year, but made the great move to Boston and then the playoff run that he had.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a disappointment for the Bruins to lose in a 7-game series, but Bertuzzi, 5 goals, 10 points in that series.
Pass ahead for Nylander, and that deflects up into the seats And another face-off coming in the center ice area.
Well, as we're talking about Austin Matthews, we talk about the 5-goal start. He actually had 5 goals in 3 periods. He scored in the second and third period Wednesday night and 2 in the first period. Armin.
There you go. Hey, things are starting.
Austin Matthews, 5 goals in 3 periods. I wonder if did he score in his second game? No. Oh, he didn't score in the third period in Ottawa. Remember, he had 4 in the first 2 periods.
Yep.
In his very first NHL game.
Puck to center. Broden sends it in on goal, and it's going to be smothered by Samsonov. And a face-off coming in the circle to the right of the Toronto netminder. This period has started at a crawl. 19:29 to go.
Remember, we had 2 face-offs, 2 pucks over the glass in the first 6-8 seconds of this game. We thought this is going to be a long night.
Draw
now
one
it's
by
been a fun night.
Minnesota. Shot deflects wide of the Leaf goal. Nylander starts out of his own zone with speed to center. Hits the line. Lost the handle on the puck. Wild will shoot it back into the Toronto end. Round on the boards for Morgan Riley. He'll pepper it around to the near side for Yarncrook. Yarncrook plays it out at center, but not far enough to get to Nylander. Now Yarncrook follows up on the play and lifts it in. Matthews after it now down into the corner. And the Wild will work back in their own zone. Broden playing it into the far corner, and Bertuzzi is onto it. Back to the point it goes, and Nylander's shot was a weak one that was easily blocked and pushed to center ice by Minnesota before the Leafs shoot it right back in again. Wild in their own end. Push it up for Goligoski to center. Brought on by Marcus Johansson and across the line. Broken up there by the Leafs. Marner quickly placed it high off the glass. Bertuzzi had it on his skates. Played it in over the line, but the Wild have it turned right back out at center. Boldy and across the line with a shot. That was stopped by Samsonov, and the rebound carried into the corner. Liljegren back at the net trying to outfight his man for the puck. Got some help there from McCabe, who knocked this man down. Then a bit of a hit from behind on Minten, but the Leafs get it to center and play it down. No, they didn't get it to center, says the linesman. Played into the zone. Icing call coming here against Toronto, and it'll come back into the Maple Leaf zone. Face off in the circle to the right of the Toronto net.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, I was just going to remind everybody that Monday night we'll have the Blackhawks in town, and we'll have that action for you beginning at 7 o'clock on these Maple Leaf Radio Network stations.
Leafs 54% in the face-off dot.
And lost that one, but regained the loose puck in the corner, but then give it away, and a shot is on goal and quickly smothered by a quick hands of Ilya Samsonov with Foligno right on the doorstep.
Man, this is a game that I thought Ilya Samsonov in the first period I thought was outstanding, but then with the Leafs up 4-1 in the second, at least the second goal against was the questionable one. Right? Off the kind of from a sharp angle. And then one batted out of midair. So for Samsonov, 8 goals against in 5+ periods to start the season. I think Joseph Wall may play Monday, and I think that might have been the idea.
Loose puck to the side of the goal, and it was knocked off the side of the net by Minnesota. That close to the tying goal, and then a centering pass, and Samsonov makes the best save of his night, and then we get another scrum going on in front of the goal.
Jake McCabe grabbing onto Rossi, and guess who else has joined the party? Ryan Reaves. See, and this is, what we've been talking about for the first couple of games. The Leafs aren't defending against this. They're not trying to, we need guys to come in and help support the defense in this. This is where the Leafs are the aggressors. They see somebody jamming away at their goaltender, and they're the guys that are coming in heavy with the sticks up and the elbows up. And it was Jake McCabe, actually, with a pretty good slash on Rossi that started everything. But not great coverage as Ilya Samsonov has to make a great glove save. A little pass that came out from behind the net. Rossi had some room short side and very nearly had his second of the night, the second of his career. But you're right, Samsonov, probably his best save of the night.
Some line juggling here for the Maple Leafs. As Tavares with Yarncrook and Nylander now. And it's back down into the Minnesota end. At the blue line, McCabe couldn't keep it in. Tavares sends it back to the line. Brought in by Yarncrook. Yarncrook into the corner. Nylander hustles in there after it against John Merrill. But the puck comes to the point. McCabe had it go off his stick. And Foligno now for Minnesota, just playing it through center ice, and the Leafs come away with it.
It'll be interesting to see. We're going to see Max Domi then with Minten and
right now it's the Matthews line. And across the line, Matthews looking for a third. And the shot deflected off a leg and slowed up and then went harmlessly wide. Giordano had a bit of a tire blowout, but the Leafs are able to bring it back in with Bertuzzi. Bertuzzi trying to send it to the right wing side. And it's going to come back out at center and force Marner back into his own end. Marner coming to center and didn't get over the red line before he flipped it in. And he's questioning that with the linesman. But an icing call nonetheless coming against Toronto.
Maybe the Minnesota player, Jamie, I think was the one that was closing in on Marner at center. I think Marner may have felt it went off the Minnesota player, but he's going to lose that argument. As the face-off will go down to the left of Ilya Samsonov. 4-3 Leafs, 16:21 to go here in the third period, but they did have a 4-1 lead in the second.
Draw won by Minnesota. Faber sends it around back of the net. Kaprizov couldn't come up with it. Now he does in the near corner. Works out of the corner and back into the slot, still with it. And when he got the shot away, that cleared the glass, the screen, and is about 35, 40 rows up into the seats. You know what? With the goal song really up in the air, and maybe the Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem and one of my Irish jigs is still going to be plausible. What do you think? Possibly not. Yeah. Yeah, well, I just thought,
Maybe one day a year I could do that. That would be neat to have that as a goal song.
Yeah.
Playing St. Paddy's Day.
Why not? Draw to the left in the Toronto zone. Only in Toronto can we have a goal song controversy.
Well, people at home are listening. Google Brass Bonanza.
Yes!
Which was the goal song of the Hartford Whalers.
Oh, God, I hated that. I hated that. Comes to the side of the goal. Samsonov is going to cover up, mainly because the Leafs went in there, usually got their doors blown off, and I had to hear it about 8 times.
Okay, but here's another one, and you should remember this too in games in the American League, because it stayed the same for years. In Springfield, do you remember what the goal song was for the Springfield Indians?
No.
Bill Haley and the Comets, Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Come on, that's a great
you
goal
come out
song.
for the start.
I guess so.
Very first game I played pro was with Denver in Tennessee. Or, pardon me, Alabama, Birmingham.
Here's Yarncrook in with a shot. Stopped on the short side. The puck came in front of the net, and it comes back to the blue line. Brody will send it around back of the net, but out of the reach of Tavares. And the Wild get it to the line, but not out. Nylander knocking it down. Nylander working on the right wing side. Stops up, then tried to make a pass, and Riley skated right through it. Back come the Wild. Nice move in over the line. Good play by Brody to lift the stick just before a shot was taken. Out come the Leafs now with Riley. With Matthew Knies, who goes after the puck into the left wing corner. Stopped up there, couldn't get it in front of the net. Minten is on to the attack. Brody, or at least Domi sends a long shot high and wide. So Max Domi on the line now with Knies and Minten. And a pass for Knies is nowhere near him, and icing is going to be the call. 14:41 to go, third period, and the Leafs hanging on to a 4-3 lead.
And Sheldon Keefe simply just trying to get a little more offense out of each of those lines. So you flip-flop Yarncroc and Domi. Obviously, the power play has been great from a Leaf standpoint. Willie Nylander's goal scored late in the first period. That was an even strength goal at 1937.
Toronto Argonauts leading Ottawa in their game just down the street. What a season they've had. My goodness. Holman cooled out with about 5 games remaining in the schedule.
The East is no longer the weak conference, is it?
Not. No, well, not with Toronto in it, that's for sure. Face off to the right of the Toronto net. And the draw won by Minnesota. At the point, Goligoski tried to get a shot through a centering feed. Good play defensively on Matt Boldy in front of the net by the Leaf defense. Someone's lost or broken a stick here, and it is Knies who's getting a new one. And the puck comes back into the far corner and around the boards to the near side. Knies arrives on the scene to poke it out at center, and the Wild will go back into their own end. Goligoski walks the line, got it ahead into the neutral ice and across the line, brought on by Addison. Now a pass in front of the net was deflected wide of the goal. Eriksson Ek couldn't come up with it. Back to the point, kept in there by Boldy. Boldy walks down the line. Reaves took him down. The puck now for McCabe. McCabe got it freed up, but they don't make a pass to get it out. Here's a centering feed. A backhand try now by Boldy has stopped. The Leafs try to backhand it out, and it hits one of the Leaf players. Kept alive by Minnesota. Now to the near side. And out comes Toronto finally to center ice, and Reaves just rolls it down into the Minnesota zone. Played around the boards into the far corner. Minnesota organizing. Both teams are trying to get a change in here.
Penalty.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what. Unsportsmanlike conduct.
I'm going to have to get a look at this.
Goligoski is getting the penalty. Did he say something that... Wow. It's an interesting call. And the Maple Leafs, who are 2 for 2 on the power play, will see if they can expand the lead. It's 4-3 Toronto. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
In a season already plagued with injuries and underachievers, your fantasy football team is faced with yet another obstacle.
The bye weeks are here! The bye weeks are here!
When your star player takes a week off, listen to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio for winning fantasy football advice.
You got to work the waiver wire. You got to make trades. The draft is just a piece of the puzzle.
Our experts tell you who to play in this time of need.
Now the work really starts.
Your frontline source for fantasy football. SiriusXM Channel 87 and on the SXM app.
In case you missed it, on NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
If you're a soccer fan, you know that this music means one thing. The Champions League is on SiriusXM FC.
Hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Kane scores!
The top teams from around Europe are battling for club soccer's holy grail.
Real Madrid do what they do best. What a start for Inter!
Hear all the top Champions League matches all tournament long on SiriusXM FC 157 and streaming on the SiriusXM app.
The biggest names in the game.
Trying to get behind Ristolainen. Walks in. Put it between his legs. Shoots it. Score!
NHL play-by-play on SiriusXM.
Third power play of the game. The Leafs 2 for 2 with the man advantage. Third period brought to you by Desjardins Insurance. Insurance with a big heart so big it shows. Visit Desjardins.com/heart today.
And you like this, where they got Marner playing the right point, where Matthews Usually is.
Well, they've won the draw. Nylander to the near side. Klingberg couldn't shoot it. He works it back to the blue line. Walks the line with Marner right there. Klingberg to the right wing side. Into the near corner for Nylander. Nylander back to Marner. Marner back to Nylander. Nylander with a shot that deflected wide. Tavares centered it in front of the net. And it's cleared now by Minnesota down the ice. John Klingberg will go back. They'll drop it off. Matthews, left wing side, Tavares, back for Matthews, out of his reach. Shot down the ice by Minnesota. Minute 13 in the power play, and the Leafs have not had any kind of zone time with this man advantage. Klingberg brings it to the line, dropped it back, now brought in by Tavares, left wing side, doesn't shoot it. Tavares lays it off now for Marner. On the near half boards, works down towards the net and around back of the goal. Marner stops up to Willie. Nylander's centering pass was blocked. He's going to get the rebound, though, and keep it in. To Marner, to Tavares. Tavares coming in front of the net, couldn't deliver a shot. To the blue line to Klingberg. Klingberg's shot didn't make it through. Nylander has the rebound, though. Nylander on the near half boards, down low behind the net for Marner. Tavares is stationed in front. Marner still with it. Marner works to the near half boards. Cross ice to Matthews. Oh, and he rattled it off the crossbar. Now to the near side. Nylander a drive. And that was deflected wide. 16 seconds left. His first unit's been on for the whole power play. Here's Tavares, left wing side. Tavares with a shot. That was stopped and mercifully cleared for Minnesota, at least, as the penalty will expire.
It took a while, but the Leafs got some looks late on the power play.
And an offside at the Toronto blue line.
You know what I really think adds to the power play is how Willie Nylander has developed into a one-time threat. And we saw it against Montreal, scored a one-timer in the power play. It's still, I don't know if it'll ever be part of Austin Matthews' arsenal. I mean, even you saw there, it sort of cradled it a little bit when he got the puck and lifted it high.
When you wrist the puck as well as he does,
oh yeah,
the accuracy.
But I mean, it's funny. Most pure goal scorers have the one-timer, whether it was Brett Hall or Ovechkin, Stamkos, Kucherov.
Yep.
Matthews is a little more.
But not like they don't practice it.
Oh, yeah.
Lay it into the Toronto end. McCabe swinging it around on the near side. Camp taken to the boards. Faber looking to try and move it up the wall. And Knies gets it freed up. And it is Faber to center. In over the line for Camp. Camp punches it around back of the net, but it'll come to an open wing. And we are 35 seconds away from the midpoint of the third period. What looked like was going to be a high-scoring affair has quieted down in the second half of the game.
Not had a goal since the 9:51 mark of the second.
Played around the boards, and now out come the Leafs with Bertuzzi. He finds Morgan Riley. Riley on the left wing now for Minten. A centering pass, and Yarncrook couldn't get to it. Back to the point now for Brody. Brody doesn't shoot it. To Riley in front, they score! Callie Yarncrook in front of the net, and Morgan Riley's centering pass is tipped home, and the Leafs have their 2-goal lead back.
Very similar to Austin Matthews throwing it out to John Tavares. That one off a defenseman skated in. This one is, in fact, off the tape of Callie Yarncroc, and a great feed from Morgan Riley, who's about 2 feet from the goal line to the right of Gustafsson in the corner to the Minnesota net. But Morgan Riley looks up and fires the perfect shot across the top of the crease, past John Merrill, and all Yarncroc has to do is get a piece of it, shovel it in glove side, and the Leafs have regained their lead. It's 5-3 Toronto, regained the 2-goal lead that they had in the second.
Played down into the wild zone. Bertuzzi tried to find Matthews in front, but it was deflected away from him. And Brody has to scamper back in his own zone. Got it ahead for Marner. Marner going to launch it into the left wing corner. Matthews in there after it. Had the puck come free, but it is Zuccarello in the far corner having difficulties as it comes back to Matthews. A wraparound, he scores! Holy mackerel! Back-to-back Hatties for Matty!
Sometimes doesn't seem fair, does it? Had an off season with 40 goals last year. Could do that in October this year. As Matthews picks the puck up behind the Minnesota net, takes it on the backhand, and simply propels himself out to the front of the net and sweeps it far side to give the Leafs a 6-3 lead. And yes, Matthews has had a 4-goal game in his career, but it's been a while.
Lots of hats on the ice. Second consecutive hat trick to start the season. Never done before in Toronto Maple Leaf history. I don't know if it's ever been done before in NHL history.
And the thing is that it's not as if he's scoring the same way every time. I mean, he's been getting some fortunate bounces like we saw in the second goal. But this one, just a power move from behind the net. Wins the battle and swipes it out front. And Mitch Marner, by the way, is going to pick up another assist as well.
Wow. What a great...
Yeah, it was a great pass. It was a great play by Marner. Gets the loose puck, chips it. I guess Alex Ovechkin did it, Joe, in 2017.
Back-to-back?
Yes.
To start a season?
Unless TV's wrong. We just saw the graphic.
Thanks, big fella. You know what? You're always on top of these things, which is great.
Under pressure, I'm a pretty good reader. I had no pressure in school, by the way.
No, none. Very little. Very little. So Austin Matthews, back-to-back hat tricks. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have a 6-3 lead here midway through period number 3. What a start to the season for our Big Pappy.
And that year, 2017, 18, Ovechkin ended up with 49 on the year.
Fired down into the Minnesota zone. And this crowd is on its feet saluting Austin Matthews. Centering pass! And a chance there for Minten, and it was deflected wide. Minten around the boards trying to kick it free. Knies almost stole it. Now here's Domi stealing it back, tried to get it in front, and that didn't work, and now out come the Wild, led by Frederick Gaudreau. He'll send it in deep to the side of the Leaf goal. It came in front of the net. Down is Samsonov. He didn't know where it was. And finally did locate it and got a glove on it to not let the Wild get right back into things here with a cheapie. But now, with 8:52 to go, the Leafs lead 6-3. Matthews from Marner's the goal scorer. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Wheels on the bus go.
Do more in a reliable Subaru, they said. Enjoy more time together to go more places with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive, they said. More award-winning safety for more peace of mind, but to listen to one song over and over again with fantastic acoustics. I love you, family, but the singing, nobody warned me about the singing.
Hurry to your local Subaru dealer and get more out of every kilometer this fall, including more karaoke.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. That's why we've introduced Same Game Parlay Plus. It's a game changer. Making a same game parlay across different games has never been easier because the biggest games and most popular markets are now all in one place. Check out Same Game Parlay Plus and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connectsontario.ca.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important news bulletin. Desjardins Insurance was spotted downtown helping everyone in its path. Unpredictable weather, fallen tree branches, wayward baseballs flying towards second-story windows. Desjardins Insurance is helping Canadians through it all. Is there nothing this large and friendly ally won't do for neighbors in need? Never before have we seen insurance with a heart so big it shows.
Desjardins Insurance, home and auto. Learn more at desjardins.com/heart.
You're listening to Toronto Maple Leafs hockey.
2 good saves, 3 good saves, another shot, 4 good saves made.
On Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Leafs Radio Network.
Austin Matthews is one of only 4 players in NHL history to record a hat trick in each of their first 2 games to start the season. You know about Alex Ovechkin because we've told you that. Cy Dennehy, Joe Malone, and Reg Noble.
And actually,
that's in the 1917-18 season. 3 players did it in the 1917-18 season.
And actually, if there was video review, Cy Dennehy, 3 of his goals would have been offside.
Not commenting.
Google that one.
Google that. The fact that there was only one official on the ice at the time with a bell in his hand instead of a whistle.
An outdoor rink.
And an outdoor rink, yes. Launched high into the Toronto zone. That 1917-18 season was a barn burner, though. A lot of goal scoring that year, mister. Left wing side, a shot, kick, save the rebound. Oh, Nylander just fed it wide of what was an empty net. Klingberg runs into a traffic jam. Tavares got the puck free, and Nylander gets an outlet on the left wing. He closes, score! Oh, yeah, Matthews? Well, Willie just got his 3rd of the season. So take that.
Saw the power move off the left wing boards in the first period for a goal that Nylander swept around the Minnesota goaltender. This time, it's a little, we saw Rick Five get him out of jersey earlier in this game. How about this as a tribute to Rick Five? Willie Nylander coming down the left wing side again, but this time he unloads. A hard shot, blocker side, and Philip Gustafsson, who had a shutout in his first game, has been beaten for 7 on 29 shots in game number 2 for the Wild.
So it is a 7-3 lead, and this game has been blown wide open. And the Leafs looking for more. Down low! Coming across and trying to find his first NHL goal there was Fraser Minten. Leafs are back in their own zone. Laid off the boards for Knies. Knies flipping it ahead. Domi didn't see it. And it is pushed out into the left wing side by Minnesota. 3rd of the season for Willie Nylander. Here's Foligno getting it into the zone. Liljegren will play it up on the wing, but it is intercepted. Centering pass comes right off the wing. Good sprawling save made by Samsonov. And he's going to cover up on it at hole.
A little bit of chippiness to this game, too, isn't there? Which a lot of times you get the Leafs playing the team from the West. There's not a lot of emotion in it, but maybe crank it up a bit because it's a Saturday night and hockey night in Canada. And the fact that both teams have had some success on offense, but the Leafs outscoring the Wild right now is 7-3.
Tavares draws an assist along with Klingberg on the Nylander goal. And the Maple Leafs with a 7-3 advantage. 6:40 to play in the 3rd period. And the draw on the Toronto end. Chipped along the boards and in around back of the net. Cut off there by the Wild. And then Matthews plays to an open wing. It'll be tracked down by Broden, who gets it deeper into the Toronto end. And then Matthews goes back there and steals it back. got it ahead off Bertuzzi to Marner. Marner through center, chipping it in over the line, strides in there after it, spun around and got the puck loose and now tries to come in front with a shot. What a great play by Marner. He went like a hoop around the barrel, going right around the defenseman with a great bit of skating dexterity and almost set up another goal. McCabe shoots it into the Minnesota end. Down into the corner, Ryan Reaves trying to center. That was broken up, and now the Leafs get it back again at the blue line. McCabe punches it down into the right wing corner. Noah Gregor after it there. Almost had his hand around one of the Minnesota players that would have brought on a penalty. Al Gregor tipping it down into the Minnesota end, and we got the wave making its way around Scotiabank Arena here. Nylander trying to chip it in over the line, and the Wild have it back in their own end.
Now Nylander with 2. All right, Armin, last time the Leafs, 2 players had hat-tricks in the same game.
Centering pass knocked away.
Well, I love being in charge.
Yeah, you do. And the best part about being in charge is you don't have to do anything. You just come up with good ideas.
And Andrew, if you could grab me a green tea when you get a second.
Don't forget the croissant. Played down into the Minnesota zone. They're hooping and hollering around Scotiabank Arena tonight, and why wouldn't they? As one of the Minnesota players is down over on the far boards, Pat Maroon.
I don't know if that was the puck or if Matthew Knies was with him. But it looks like, I mean, it's head area, whether it was the stick or puck. But Maroon seems like he's in a lot of discomfort. I do not see a penalty coming yet, although the officials appear to be ready to talk about it. Puck came that way, and both Maroon and Knies were there. Oh, it was the puck. Now, caromed off the glass, off the side of Maroon's noggin, and hopefully he's going to be all right, but goes right to the Minnesota room.
4.5 minutes to play in the third period. The Leafs with a 7-3 lead. You're listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
Hockey is back. And the NHL on SiriusXM sounds like this.
Score! The captain completes the comeback. What a save! Oh, Ilya Sorokin got a piece of it with his glove. Connor McDavid, his 60th goal!
Hear every NHL game all season long on SiriusXM and the hometown announcers on the SiriusXM app. And talk about the day-to-day drama of the hockey season on NHL Network Radio Channel 91.
The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play, weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern on NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. He had all these good players around him. Hey, wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio, SiriusXM 91, and the SiriusXM app.
Hi, this is Ray Hudson, and for all the biggest matches from club soccer's holy grail, the UEFA Champions League, tune in to SiriusXM FC 157.
Playback underway. 4:25 to play in the third period. The Wild get it down into the zone. Merrill with a shot that is blocked. And then Domi is able to free it up, and Brody is able to carry it to center and get it back to Domi. Domi pulls up at the far half boards. Centers in front of the net for Knies. And he couldn't take it off his skate to get it to his stick to get a shot away. Knies unable to get it in front. And here are the Wild coming back at center. And across the line, flipped in by Johansson. Cut off there by Brody, and the Leafs outlet And out comes Minten to center. Fraser Minten is chipping it in the left wing corner. Trying to get down there to do some forward checking as the teams are changing. And he's heading for the bench. And an icing call will come here against Minnesota.
Now talking to Lance Hornby during the intermission.
Noted columnist.
Yes, of the Toronto Sun. And we were asking about, he brought up Ryan Reaves fights in back-to-back games. According to Lance, the last Leaf to do that was Fraser McLaren 10 years ago.
Wow.
According to Lance. According to Armand, Dave Tiana, Bob Pulford, December 18th, 1965 against the New York Rangers, had hat-tricks in the same game of an 8-4 win.
All right.
Good job, Armand.
Played out at center ice.
Hope it's right.
That's why you're giving credit. Here's Foligno. Can't get free, and now out come the Leafs at center. Gregor will just roll it down into the offensive zone, and we're 3 minutes away from the end of this game. Yeah.
Kids love working with us, don't they?
Don't they? Yeah, unless they're wrong. Yeah, and then it was not us. Weber shoots it into the Leaf end. Hawks and the Leafs here on Monday night. Around back of the net. Swept around by Klingberg. No one could get to it. It's going to be an icing call against Toronto. 2:45 left in the third period. The Toronto Marathon is tomorrow. And if you have anything to do in downtown Toronto, cancel it! It's a mess down here.
Or bring your sneakers.
Oh, yeah. Get in the race. Yes, it's going to be faster running than it will be driving. Trust me. It is taking over the lakeshore area and around town. And it is a headache to get out of if you are trying to drive a car. Leafs get it to the line, but don't get it out. It bounces in front of shot on the backhand, scores.
It was Duhaime that just whacked at a bouncing puck. He had his back to the Leaf net. And when it got to him, he just propelled it on the backhand. And it got through Ilya Samsonov and the Minnesota Wild. I mean, this was just lobbed to the front of the net, bounced once, and then Duhaime. Jake McCabe started towards the backboards. The reason the puck looped towards the net is the initial shot was partially blocked, and that slowed it down. So Jake McCabe actually originally was going to dart into the corner to get it. Then he had to readjust to the deflection. And the Minnesota Wild have put 4 past Ilya Samsonov now in 31 shots. The Leafs 7 goals on just 30 shots.
Fired into the Toronto end. 2:12 to go in the third. And it's a 3-goal lead now for the Maple Leafs. As Bertuzzi starts out. He's just going to flip it into center ice. Marner tried to bat it further into the zone. Minnesota has it under control in their own end. And as they play it high to center ice, and Matthews is back there for Toronto. Matthews dropping it off in the corner for TJ Brodie. Brodie swings it around back of the net for Morgan Riley. Leafs getting a change of players going. Minute and a half to go in the game. Austin Matthews with back-to-back hat tricks to start the season. Willie Nylander with a pair. Bertuzzi with his first in the Leaf uniform. And Kalle Järnkrok with his first of the season. Scored the Leaf goals. Foligno intercepts a pass. Got it into the slot area. Shot knocked down by Samsonov. And Liljegren will play it up on the boards. And Domi trying to get it out. Does that. And now here's Giordano playing it in over the line.
The last minute of play in the third period.
Brought on by Addison. Shot into the Toronto end. Leafs will outlet with a good pass from Brodie. Up on the right wing side for Morgan Riley. Took a shot. Big rebound. Oh, and a good pad save by Gustafsson. Played high to center ice. Was that Gregor that got the
looking for
good
his
chance?
second?
Yeah. Across the line, Noah Gregor with a shot. Knocked down by the glove of Gustafsson. 20 seconds left to go. And the Minnesota Wild will lose their fifth in a row, or fifth straight to Toronto over the last number of seasons, as this game is going to be run out of time by the Leafs just playing catch with it back in their own end. But a huge third period. With Matthews finishing off the hat trick, Järnkrok and Nylander scoring. And the Leafs are going to walk away with a 7-4 victory over the Minnesota Wild and go 2-0 to start this season. 3 stars brought to you by Molson. Who you got? Can I do the first one? Can I do the first one, please? Can I?
Okay.
Thank you.
I had him for the second star.
Oh, really?
We'll give the 3 goals for Austin Matthews, the second star. We'll probably agree on that as well.
Willie Nylander?
Oh.
How am I doing so far?
Are you asking for my permission?
No.
Now, for the third star, I'm going to go Morgan Riley. Mitch Marner had 2 assists as well, 2 primary assists, but Morgan Riley, 2 assists and +3 on the night for the Leafs. Marner was +1. I'm going to make that the determining factor. So 3 Leafs do it, and we get 5 out of the 7 goal scorers in the first 2 stars of this game. Austin Matthews continues to be on a tear, and like we said, he's doing it different ways. This isn't all rich shots from the top of the right wing circle where it's going bar down. I mean, this is wraparounds. This is throwing to the net from the goal line. What we've seen, and that's what you love about it, is the variety in the 6 goals have been absolutely incredible. And to see Willie Nylander, 40-goal scorer last year, 3 goals in your first 2 games would usually be a great hot topic to bring up. But when your teammate does what he's doing, it's a
sidebar story.
Yeah, you're more of a sidebar story.
You're right. Well, there you have the 3 stars and an invitation to join us on Monday when Connor Bedard makes his first appearance in a Blackhawk uniform to Toronto. We've got Alish Forfar and Justin Cuthbert coming along. Our thanks to Andrew and Armin for putting up with us here tonight as the Leafs win it by a score of 7-4. You've been listening to Molson Leaf Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
You've been listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and the Leafs Radio Network. There's a Molson with your name on it.
Let's go, football fans.
This week on Let's Go with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald and me, Jim Gray.
You know, it's a great culture up there in New England. We've had a great culture for a long time, as long as I was a part of it. You know, it's tough to see teams lose, and I think you realize the competitiveness of the NFL. It's a very difficult league to win. And when you do win, you need to appreciate it because it's a hard thing to do.
Listen now to the extended version of Let's Go, exclusively on the SiriusXM app, included with all our trials and popular plans.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
NHL Morning Skate.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Pronger.
You look at rest and recovery now, you know, that whole mindset has shifted tremendously from when I first came to the league in '93. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to everything. But overall, when you look at the skill level of the player and the speed of the game, it's certainly gone to another level.
NHL Morning Skate
With Scott Laughlin and Gord Stellick.
weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern
On NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. In case you missed it,
On NHL Network Radio.
The general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, Danny Briere.
Have the fans been patient? What's their buy-in been for the rebuild?
I think the one thing we've done is we're trying to be transparent with our fans and be honest. And I think our fans are too smart. The response seems to have been really good. I hope they're as excited as I am, and it feels that way so far.
NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91.
and the Sirius XM app. The Power Play with Steve Koulias.
Sabres signed Rasmus Dahlin to an 8-year, that's the max, $11 million contract. This contract is more than Fox and Makar and McAvoy and Heiskanen and Hughes and Werenski. Are you telling me we couldn't have got this deal done for at least 10? Now, I like the guy, but he's not most of the guys that I just mentioned.
The Power Play.
Weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern
On NHL Network Radio.
Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app.
Under review.
It's the argument I hear a lot of times. Well, those guys got better players around them. Gretzky was good, but he wasn't that good. Had all these good players around him. Hey, wait a minute. I don't buy that argument as a dismissal of a guy's importance because he's part of that dynamic. He's part of that equation. And to take him out invalidates the entire equation.
Under review with Mick Curran. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. The Point.
I truly believe in 3 years, Jack Hughes will be worth $15 million a year. For $15 million a year, they got Hughes and Hischier locked up together. Those are two brilliant contracts. But there isn't a single area where I look at the Devils and think, okay, this is of concern to me. They're locked and loaded.
The Point with Boomer Gordon. Weekdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. NHL Network Radio. Sirius XM 91 and the Sirius XM app. The best hockey lives here.
Burns gets it back. Stick handles to the backhand. Moves in front. Score!
NHL play-by-play on Sirius XM.
Network. Justin Cuthbert and Nailish Forfar here with you just for a few minutes to recap that beautiful 7-4 win by the Maple Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada here against the Minnesota Wild. And we saw some things that ain't been seen in a long time. Austin Matthews back-to-back hat tricks to kick off a season.
Yeah, this is, it's not that it's like impossible. It's not like you can never even dream this up. But this is a treat. Like, this doesn't happen ever. A star player, hat tricks in consecutive games to open the season. Unbelievable start for Austin Matthews. Unbelievable start for this offense. This group looks unbelievable right now. And Mitch Marner hasn't even got going yet. What's it going to look like when everyone is firing on all cylinders?
You better believe it, Justin. Ovechkin, the only other player since 1917 to start the season with back-to-back hat tricks, and I believe they won the Cup that year, so good things may be on the horizon. Okay, before we send it off to Leafs Talk, let's take a look at the NHL scoreboard presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Play responsibly.
Lots of games have gone final, just like the Maple Leafs and Wild. Blue Jackets beat the Rangers 5-3. Bruins 3-2 over the Predators. Canadians beat Bedard's Blackhawks 3-2. Penguins got a 5-2 victory over the Flames. Red Wings 6-4 over the Lightning. And the Jets and Senators beat the Panthers and Flyers, respectively, this afternoon.
All right, we're excited to listen to what JD Bunkus and Sam McKee have up for you next on Leafs Talk. So thanks for listening to Molson Leafs Hockey on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network.
All right. Saturday Night Leafs Talk on the Sportsnet Radio and Podcast Network. Also live right now on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and SN Plus. Sammy, Austin Matthews is your Candyman, your nightmare maker, a man who loves hats, who goes down to the rink. Like, this is not what you want to see.
Yeah. That it's ridiculous. I come on here and say, like, try to break down what I saw and try to sound like a smart guy, but it's absurd. Like, back-to-back hat tricks, it's just dominating both the games. It's really ridiculous, and it's beyond any really Leaf fans' wildest dream. Like, you take this for granted, where you've watched the Leafs for 7 or 8 years with him now, and you're like, wow, he's really good, and wow, he's really great, and he's measured against some of the playoff failures, and people nitpick at his game. But, like, for a Leaf fan, this is completely beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Like, we used to talk about if they could get a number one center, they legitimately have, like, one of the best 3 guys in the league on their team, and they have him for 5 more years under contract. Like, it's really enjoyable. And I enjoyed it again tonight in another wild game, which I hope he had the over.
So he's the first player since Ovi in 2017-18 to start his season with back-to-back hat tricks. But boy, I got to tell you something. 1917, 1918. What an opening week for hockey fans. Like, nobody had the internet. Nobody had any idea of what was going on until they got the newspaper the next day. But then people were blown away. Because
please read the names.
Cy Danini, Joe Malone, and Reg Noble all all that year.
Those are
had
Merritt's favorite
hat-tricks.
players.
Buddy, the same day, what did they do? The triplets. There was there were 6 teams. There weren't even, I don't even know, these 1917. All these boys were just going back to back, ripping hat tricks that year. The people were getting their money's worth in 1917 and 1918 because I know how I would have felt if I was at the rink tonight. Okay, so Matthews is brilliant. I really don't know what else to say other than he looks extremely healthy. He looks extremely confident. He looks like he's having fun. And why wouldn't he? Because he's playing with Tyler Bertuzzi, Mitch Marner, and then a power play unit that looks disgusting as well, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. This is about as good as you could have possibly get for any kind of Leaf fan to start the season. Like you said, it's kind of the dream that you were hoping for, but this was probably priority number one. If you were a Maple Leaf fan of, hey, what would you want to see this year? You'd say a healthy, confident Matthews that was doing his thing again.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think back to last year, and I think Borney said on the show on Friday that he didn't score his 3rd goal until like the end of October or something. Like it was crazy, or 10 games into the season until he scored his 3rd goal. But like I'm trying to think back to last year, but that celly he did on the 3rd goal, like that is big time playoff level. Like I'm fired up celly, and you can't, like, I don't want to be Mr. Narrative here, but you can't help but think that just like this infusion of different types of guys into the lineup in a different mix of chemistry and different types of guys has changed the outlook for the core 4 here. Like they all just look way more engaged through. I know it's 2 games, but we can only talk about the games we've seen. All 4 of them just look way more engaged, way more fired up about things. They're in scrums. They're not backing down from anybody. Matthews is throwing his weight around on the forecheck. He's in scrums in the first game. Like, it's hard to not think that like the addition of Bertuzzi, Reaves, Domi, who we can talk about, but like just all these guys they brought on seem to change the personality of the team for the way better in a positive light. Am I crazy?
I think that there's something to what you're saying. I'm just not attributing it to the personality.
He also can't defend, so that's adding to the wild game. So maybe that's part of it too.
Buddy, I think that they've played 2 teams that are willing to engage in no defense so far to start the season.
Yes.
And it feels like, okay, if the Leafs are going to play this way all year, this is heart attack hockey, baby. That like you are going to be on the edge of your seat. Anything can happen. No one's betting unders all year long. Like the Toronto just looks like, hey, the only way that they feel like they can compete in these early games, I don't even want to say the only way they can compete, but the way they want to compete is just, hey, let's trade. You get your chances, we'll take our chances, and we trust that Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Bertuzzi, and this version of William Nylander are going to cash. I also think that it's not so much the personalities as much it is just like they've got blue liners that are snapping it around out there, and they faced some horrific goaltending tonight. I would say if there's 2 guys that look way different to me, it's Matthews and Nylander. And you can say one guy is trying to prove people that last year was an aberration, and the other guy is trying to prove people that he should get a big old bag of money.
Yeah, and I guess the Willie Nylander, if you want to transition into that, because I think Matthews is leading them in scoring, but I think you could make an argument that William Nylander has been their best player through 2 games. He's been excellent, just buzzing, looks bigger, looks faster again. And there's a conversation to be had. He's been really, really good too.
If you look at the way Matthews is playing 200 feet and the fact that he's doing penalty kill right now, and just like man amongst boys taking pucks off guys' sticks, Nylander's having some like. I don't want this to come off like I'm criticizing Nylander. I'm just saying he's still doing some Nylander
classic Toronto media.
Yeah,
classic Toronto.
Hey, just show me the shift where Matthews got hemmed in tonight. I can show you a couple where it happened to Nylander.
Yeah, I do hate this now that every time something sick happens, like that first goal he scores tonight is filthy. Like truly, truly filthy. The edge work on that is what dreams are made of. Like there's not many people on planet Earth that are going to be able to do what he did there. It's really, 100%. Really, really high skill play. But then, like, you go on Twitter, you get texts, you see like what they're talking about on the broad. Like, it's just every single thing that he does this year in a really important year for the Toronto Maple Leafs is immediately measured against, he's going to be rich. He's going to be rich. And it's like, what kind of existence is that as a sports fan? Where it's like, I can't even enjoy watching a guy who the Leafs have stuck with had patience with, developed into one of the super studs in the league. And it's like, finally, they've got him to the point where, oh my God, he's one of the best guys in the league now. He's like a top 20 player in the league. He's an elite winger. And it's like, well, can't afford him. Got to go. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I guess we can just talk about his contract for the rest of the year. Like, what kind of sports fandom existence is that? It sucks. And it's like, it's all anyone talks about. Like, it's the only thing. You measure him against his contract. It just sucks.
I don't blame fans that constantly talk about the contract. Maybe it's just because I've spent the offseason talking about contracts and William Nylander and all this stuff. I'm not there anymore. Like, I'm just enjoying the season for what it is. I think that Nylander is going to get paid regardless. And I've kind of had the position that if they weren't able to trade him this past offseason, then they probably weren't going to trade the guy this season, and that they were probably going to end up just giving the man his money. I think that both sides were comfortable letting it roll. Like, Nylander wants to be here. The Leafs know that they're going to end up paying him. Tavares' number a couple of years from now is going to come down. But yeah, the Nylander, to me, Nylander and Matthews look like they went to the same, I don't know, camp this year. Whatever the waters are in Sweden that Nylander was doing, he just looks refreshed. He and Matthews both look extremely healthy. They look like they're in incredible shape. The skill is popping through. And it makes sense. They're in their primes. This is kind of part of what this whole gambit was supposed to be, about collecting great players. I know there's urgency because of the market, but you do remember that, like, hey, Matthews, Nylander have been great players for a long time, but this is sort of the stretch where they're supposed to be at their best. My question to you off the great players, though, too, is like, so Bertuzzi looks great. He gets his goal. I loved seeing that. Nice little bumper pass from Järnkrok. Järnkrok gets bumped up. Good for him because he's playing better. I also wondered how much of this start, the good guys standing out, is that they're dominating, but no one really in the bottom six is.
Well, they're playing the whole game. Like,
yeah.
I think it was at the start of the third period where it was, they put out the Bertuzzi, Marner, Matthews line, and then they went to Tavares for a shift, and then they went right back to Matthews and Marner again. Like, I mean, I think part of this is you have a junior player playing center on your third line. I think you have Kampf and you have Reaves and you have Gregor who are playing a lot too. Like, that third line is a huge work in progress to me. Like, I think the fourth line is an actual fourth line where you look at it and you're like, that's a line that makes sense as a fourth line. All those guys know they're fourth liners. They're not going to be wanting more ice time. They're not going to be asking the way to get up in the lineup. But that third line to me is one that's a total work in progress. And I think you're going to see it develop. Like, they do need some more. I don't think they're going to be scoring 7 goals a game from the top 6 every night here. They're going to need these guys to contribute, and it's going to have to work itself out. I'm not sure how it's going to. I think that third line is one that they're going to have to figure out. But, like, they got as good a top 6 as anywhere in the world. So I think that's something that you hang your hat on. But you're right. They need more from that third line. I think that fourth line's good. I like the fourth line. I think they're capable. They're responsible. You have the element of Reaves. You have Gregor, who's got a decent little shot. Kampf's responsible. But I agree with you. The third line, to me, is something that they're going to have to really address and have a look at and see what they do with that. Find an identity for it. Like, what's the identity for the third line right now? It's just like 3 guys smoked together that don't really make sense at all.
I got to say that I actually liked Minten a lot more tonight. In the first period, they had a bad icing. The icing guys just were back in pure form. The Leafs did it so much last year. Minten on the ice after a long shift. He was good in the dot tonight. And this is a young kid. That's usually something that comes a little later in a career. Wins a big face-off and then pressures of the blue line to get a very, very important clear. He didn't look as overwhelmed. He looked better. But even still, you're right. Like, the third line to me has had nothing. They put Domi down there. It doesn't really change anything. There's a couple of rush opportunities that they kind of fumble. I thought this was interesting, though, is like throughout the night, I went, man, you know what sucks about this third line is Knies just really feels like a man without country. And Järnkrok gets the bump up. And I actually think Järnkrok deserved it because he played really well tonight. Like, Järnkrok was a sneaky underlying star. But do you know?
And he's responsible defensively, too. In the third period, they wanted that.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. But Knies was third last on the team. Only more minutes than Gregor and Reaves tonight.
Yeah. Who was off the ice for 5 minutes for fighting too. So that adds into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you feeling that he looks good in his shifts? Because I am. Like, I feel like, I think he is a guy that maybe like you said, man without country. Like maybe put him with some better players. Maybe try to put him up in the top 6. Like instead of Yarncroc, bump him up there and maybe give him a chance to look pretty good. But I think he is kind of lost at the moment. Like he's noticeable. He's still really good below the net, and he's moving the puck along the boards when he gets his chances. But it just feels like he doesn't have the puck a whole lot. And a lot of that is his center's not getting him the puck the whole lot. He's got a new right winger with him the whole time. Like it's either Domi or Yarncroc, and he's kind of moving things around. So I agree with you, but like I still think he looks like Matthew Knies. He just maybe needs a little bit of a boost when it comes to people he's playing with. No?
Yeah, I don't see him making like a ton of mistakes out there. He still looks like he has the speed and the size. And, we just rolled the highlight clip of him behind the net where I trust him. All I'm saying is his line feels like a lot of shifts where I'm just thinking survive, survive, survive. They seem pretty scrambled. And I feel like Keefe doesn't really know what he's supposed to do with him yet because Matthews has back-to-back games with hat tricks with Bertuzzi on there. It's not moving that. Nylander looks brilliant, and they just bumped Yarncroc up because they know that the way that that's constituted with Max Domi up there, you can't trust them defensively. And so if you're going to play them for a huge chunk of the game, you got to be able to have them play 200 feet. And then the third line all of a sudden becomes the untrustworthy boys. And that puts him in a bit of a tough spot. So, yeah, you're right about the fourth line. It's nothing really to write home about. Although I will say, man, tonight was just a nice for Ryan Reaves. Like, it's noticeable that he's always trying to put a body on somebody. I really like that. And it doesn't feel like, so far anyways, I'm sure he will do this, where he starts to run around a little bit and feels like he gets out of position because he's chasing hits. So far, I feel like almost all the times he's just like finishing checks reasonably. He's not doing like stupid, I'm just trying to insert myself into the game plays. Like he's playing within him.
That lick he put on Gaudreau there was as hard as a hit a Leaf has thrown since like Dion Phaneuf. Like I can't remember a hit that solid shoulder to shoulder, like perfect timing right as he released it, guy watching his shot. And then he goes Foligno, who's a tough son of a gun. They both chuck some bombs. I think you said he maybe lost the fight. I thought it was pretty much a draw.
It's a draw. I just think that Foligno gets in two clean right hands. And then he kind of gives him the rabbit punches. Like, yeah, whatever. You could call it 10-9 for Foligno. I think that you could call it a draw. I'm not really too upset about it.
Good.
They tie up right now.
But no, I agree with you. Like, I am pleasantly surprised with the Ryan Reaves experience in terms of how just like normal and responsible a fourth liner he is outside of the hits and fights. Like he's not making glaring mistakes out there. He's just kind of getting the puck in deep, getting on the forecheck. And that's pretty much, did you see though, the one time tonight when he had the extended shift when Tavares and Nylander were out there, and even CC was like, he's getting a shift with these guys. It's like, no, he's still out there. That they call that a McKee Beer League shift.
He's getting a shift with these guys. No.
He's staying out there for an extra beat. But
that was not the case.
Can we have a quick conversation about him off the ice?
No, I don't think
Reaves.
I don't know. You think he's talking too much?
A little bit. And like, I think
that's what he's here to do though, right?
I know it's part of the experience. You're not going to have the on the ice without the off the ice. You have to kind of eat it, but I could see it getting tiresome to the guys in the room pretty quick, I think. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm not going to kill him.
I think it's the opposite.
No. Okay. All right.
Here's the thing. I think that part of it feels a little forced. So I think that's what you're feeling. Like he
feel forced.
He feels as though he has to constantly be saying something to get some attention.
Like a WWE or something. Like it's like wrestling.
But he's just answering some questions for the most part. And then he's just here's where what I think is mostly happening. He probably feels a little bit of a pressure to be the voice of the room when he said that we had the rumor that the Leafs room was a little quiet. So he's probably doesn't want to back down from the media now and feel like, he's just assimilating with whatever culture they had before. Two, he's always going to be the guy that the reporters flock to because they're more likely to get an answer out of him. Like our boy Luke Fox asked him the question about Wi-Fi like 2 days later after the fight, because as soon as he gets an availability, he wants that quote of Ryan Reaves wants the rematch. So I'm like, he's not just standing. He's not a fighter, he's not Dylan Dennis going on Twitter saying, I want to fight Wi-Fi next time. So I think it's a little bit of just the reporters are going to be horny for him. He's always going to give you a quote. He's not going to be afraid of it. And then he's got that like 5% of I better say something a little juicy to make sure that the reporters write something here or that I look like the guy that's backing up the talk. Also,
all right,
I think
you've changed my mind. You've changed my mind. Well said. Yeah. You've changed my mind.
Part of this too, I think, is that they don't want any of the headlines unless it's Matthews' hat trick night or Nylander 2 goals looking like a beast night. They don't want us talking about anything other than Ryan Reaves, what he's saying. They want that to be the storyline of the fourth liner that the Toronto fans love is talking trash, and we're gobbling up the trash, because we're the trash. Buddy, we don't just have raccoons in our trash. We got Leaf fans eating the trash too. Like it's a double dip in this city. Anyways, good fight, good tilt, good game for him. What else do I got here? I had Knies. I had the fight. Did Samsonov make you feel a little better tonight? I know you didn't like one of the goals, but overall,
didn't like 2 of them. Thought he looked really bad through the first half of the game, and then he tightened it right up, and I give him full credit for that. Thought he looked like normal Samsonov for the second half of the game. Hated that second goal so much. The first one, you can't. There's nothing. Literally no goalie saving that. It's just a huge change of direction. It goes in the net. Second one was bad. Third one was the one where he's kind of swimming, hits off of him. Guy makes a great play, knocks it out of midair. Fourth one is another really sick high skill play. So I'm not going to kill him for that. The game's already in hand. But I thought he really cleaned it up in the second half of the game, including that nice glove save when the game was still kind of in doubt. Comes off the end boards, makes a good read on it. So thought he was better. Thought there's something to build on for him. Still 9 goals through 2 games. Probably not going to love that on the stat sheet. I'd imagine you'd see Wall on Monday against the crappy Blackhawks. No, you go right back to Sammy.
I'd probably go to Wall. Probably let Wall get a game in. It's not like Samsonov's played well. He's been fine. I will say this, though, is like, this is kind of what you need him to be, is the in middle of the pack goaltender that doesn't break your back in games. And I feel like he's not breaking their back. This is a weird one for me to evaluate because I feel like he made some awesome saves early when the Leafs looked flat-footed to kind of keep him in it or not let him fall behind. And then he made, I want to say, like 2 or 3 nasty saves this game. One off the rush, the glove save that you mentioned, the good pad save going across the net. And then he let in a couple where I'm like, that one you can't.
It was kind of the Samsonov experience, to be honest.
Yeah, it kind of was. It was like, but I just, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm judging him a little differently. I'm not expecting him to be the world's greatest goalie. I would say that if I have like,
I'm a harsh critic when it comes to goalies.
I know you are.
I hate goalies.
If I was doing my like biggest concern so far, which is just, I'm bringing it up, whatever, they won.
Yeah.
I don't like the way the Leafs defend the cycle. They look like they get a little scrambly and they have a tough time killing it. And there was a few moments this game where, second period where they were getting outshot. And I went, what's happening here? How is this? It's like the guys that aren't the studs, they come off the ice and you didn't really feel like there was a real pushback or anything that was going to be able to push them into the offensive zone. And then when they get, when the other team's below the dots on the Leafs, it just looks like they're having a bit of a tough go right now. I don't know about the personnel.
No, I think the Wild, after the Leafs went up 4-1 and the Wild clawed back to make it 4-3, I thought they fed the Leafs their lunch physically for like a solid 10 minutes. Like it was a like men against boys scenario where they were really physical. They were cycling the puck, like you said. They had a ton of chances. So I agree. I think that's sort of the bet that Treliving made on this team, right? Like that they're going to kind of go more offense first. Like look at the guys they signed. None of them are real defensive stalwarts, including the defenseman he signed, John Klingberg, who's not a defensive stalwart, but I have absolutely loved through 2 games so far. So we can talk about him if you want. That's kind of my next thing. Okay. Did you have any?
Honestly, I got nothing else. I had the fight. I had Nylander, I had Matthews.
I don't like the pairing of McCabe and Klingberg. I don't think they complement each other well at all. I've liked what I've seen from Klingberg, but like to me, Klingberg is like a Morgan Riley type where he's going to be playing best with a defensive butcher, like a guy that's going to be back there for him. Like McCabe has been to me one of the more scary guys through 2 games where it's just like, well, I'm not sure what he's doing a lot of times where it's just very adventurous. Things are happening out there. I don't know if you remember the shift early in the game where he goes down into the offensive zone, flying down, almost collides with Marner, like knee on knee, like very close. And then
2-on-1
the
the other
play
way.
goes down the other way, and it was just like a completely unnecessary risk when you got John Klingberg back there defending a 2-on-1, which is clearly not his strength. I think both of them have good, they're both good contributors to a team, but to me, together, they don't make a ton of sense. So I'll be interested to see if they keep sticking with it. But Klingberg, to me, this power play looks, I know were they second in the league last year? We talk about how like we hated their power play all year, and they're the second in the league, but it just looks way more aesthetically pleasing with him back there. He is really, really good on the power play. It is a beautiful thing to see. He just moves beautifully, good reads. Like he really, really is born for that role. Excellent on the power play.
Yeah, shout out to Morgan Riley, who had an excellent pass on the Yarncroc goal. Just
great shift in general.
Yeah.
Go to my Twitter. I did a McKee's breakdown of that. It was an amazing shift.
I will just say it is a delight watching this guy, and he's a threat to shoot, like a real threat to shoot, and I think that impacts it. But then he's just tape to tape, like walks the line beautifully. He also has the size where when he is handling the puck, there's just a little extra something to it. I will say that it does feel like the Leafs blue line is just all guys where you wish they were with someone you trusted a little bit more. Other than Brody.
100%. It's like, boy, I wish all these pairings had a butcher.
Yeah, I wish every single one of these guys had someone that you trusted to be a little bit more defensively responsible. Yeah. And so I don't think that the matchups or the pairings are going to get any sweeter from this point forward.
Yeah.
I'm with
you
on the
McCabe thing. They got to make a trade. They need a real defenseman bad.
The crazy thing is like McCabe makes such a great cap hit that you'll never really be able to criticize him because that's the way the puzzle pieces fit. But yeah, dude, he is the ultimate okay, well, we know he's not a top pairing guy with Brody to shut you down. We don't really feel like he's a protector of a guy like Klingberg. And then I just don't see, he actually kind of feels like weirdly the domino that hasn't fit so far through 2 games or the puzzle piece that doesn't fit through 2 games to me. Again, 2 games, whatever, but that's what it is. It's a reactionary show. That's it for me other than Domi gets demoted again. But I think that he's going to be the other guy. I think that they just don't know what to do with him. They don't know what to do with the bottom 6. They've just got 6 guys where they're try this, I guess. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of that for Sheldon Keefe over the coming days. I wouldn't be surprised if when Minten goes, Holmberg gets in there, or Camp bumps up, and they just try to make some kind of Camp line with Knies and Yarncroc. I don't know. Knies, you can't put him with Domi. It's weird, dude. Domi, the Domi fears are real in the sense of when he has the puck in the O-zone, you feel like he might make a play.
Great passer.
Yeah, patient with the puck on his stick, head up, looking around, and then everything else, you're like,
agree. Yeah, I agree with that face. It's never, I don't know. We're 2 games in here, so I don't want to get too reactionary. And I'm just really big fan of the signing, and I like what having him and the history with his dad here, and it's obviously means a ton to him to be a Leaf. But I don't think if he would have drawn up the way his first 2 games as a Leaf would have gone, it would have been like this. I would imagine.
You know what though? Here's the other thing. This is the other solution. Just try the Nylander at center thing then, and just go, just give it a little bit of a runway. And because Nylander playing center with Domi on his wing, and then maybe Yarncroc on the other, and then bumping Knies up to play with a little bit more offense, and have him go with Tavares, that. At least let me see that. Let me take a look at the William Nylander all offense line where you guys are just trying to pile on bad groups. And let me see Knies with someone who can play, and those 2 guys try to get some cycle game going. I don't know. It's just, again, it's not perfect. I don't think Nylander's a center, but might be better than what you've got right now. Just saying. That might be a way to fit him in.
I think when you mentioned when Minten goes, that's something I could see them maybe calling up a winger like a McMahon or somebody from down there or Robertson maybe, but I think they leave him down there a little bit longer, maybe bring up McMahon or somebody and then just move Willie to center and give that a week or 2 have a look at it. But we'll see how that goes. Any thoughts on the goal song tonight? Did you hear it? Didn't notice it.
I didn't even notice.
No.